Oh, we're live.
Are we?
Yeah.
Cool. How come that screen didn't change?
It's gonna change. Don't look at that. Hey,
Okay.
we're live.
Hi.
Sorry, this is the first time doing this, so we're working everything out, programs and everything, so.
Now it is. Cool.
What's up? How's everyone doing?
Do we have any questions for anybody yet? No? Yes, no?
Nope. So, anyone watch the new video on YouTube? I know it just went up.
I wanted this to kind of be a continuation of the video that I just posted, so that you get a little more information about this. And I could show you the little electrical system that I'm going to put on it, and also to potentially get your input on how I'm going to do it. Because there are two options. And I can't remember when I used this one. It was a different video. It was the hammer chopper. The Gundam hammer chopper, I used this to set off the rocket motors. This doesn't have enough power to set them off at the same time. But if I use this and use two of them and put one to each rocket motor, it should be pretty good. And this I can, if I use two of these, I could embed it down inside of the carbon fiber. Or I can just use this one like I did on the last Boomerang and attach it to the surface and do the same thing. And then I just need to make a little pull tab with a lanyard that pulls it out. Does anybody have any opinions on which battery system I should go with? Anything yet?
King Casper said he watched the new video and he's thanking you for the ADHD resource.
Yeah. Awesome stuff.
Can you put Pickle Rick on the Boomerang, please?
A sticker of Pickle Rick, or do you want me to get an actual pickle and paint Pickle Rick's face on it like I did in the Plumbus Bat video?
We're good. I'm gonna try to get our volume up a little bit. I think we're a little too quiet. See if that helps.
I could boost it on the microphone.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Questions? Funny comments?
Have you tried the Boomerang yet with no rockets?
No, I haven't thrown it. I probably could. This stuff is... it's crazy tough. I mean, I've played with carbon fiber before, but just the one layer, I wouldn't be afraid to throw this thing and allow it to hit whatever. And I mean, if it hit a tree, it might shatter it, but you can put some resin on it and kind of stick it back together. But it's dark out here, so if I threw this black Boomerang, I'd probably have a hard time finding it. So I haven't thrown it yet. You should switch cameras so they can get a close-up.
Yeah, can do that.
Yeah. I can't see that. There we go.
Sorry.
So you can see on the bottom I just laid carbon fiber on top of these cardboard tubes that'll hold the motors. And then I'm just going to plug the ends where the tops of them go. And the thrust will go out the other side. And when I put this together, I know I didn't use a vacuum bag or anything to seal it down tight. That's really not necessary for you to do when you're doing stuff with carbon fiber. It does make it stronger because the minimum amount of resin that you can use means you have more carbon fiber content, which makes it stronger by weight. But this is still plenty strong. I mean, it's definitely stronger than fiberglass. It's just not as flexible as fiberglass. This thing will not flex at all. But as far as tensile strength goes, it's so super high, there's no way these arms are going to rip off, especially since I double layered the joints here underneath the top layer of carbon fiber. And this almost has 3 layers, or 4 layers across it there. Any questions?
You're welcome. It sounds like the sound's better. I thought I had switched cameras. I'm still trying to figure out OBS. I think everyone saw me crawl under the table. I have to crawl under the table to get to the mic, but we got it louder.
You can switch back to the other camera now.
Alright. There we go.
Feed me info. read some comments.
Can you put a Gundam head on it?
A Gundam head on the Boomerang.
I guess.
Oh.
Make it out of aluminum.
I actually have a friend from when I was in the Navy who is in school right now, I believe, for some type of engineering or machining. And he and his friends are building me a CNC'd aluminum Boomerang with locations to mount rocket engines on it and locations for LiPo batteries, and it's the works. So if they can get it made, if they can figure out how to make it, I haven't heard word on it. I have faith that he'll be able to do it. They're going to send that to me. So then I'll be able to try an aluminum Boomerang also, which, this one's dangerous, but the aluminum one's going to have a substantial amount more weight than this does. This thing is really light. So that aluminum one, I'm going to be terrified to throw that, especially if it comes back towards me. Next.
Someone was concerned, make sure you have the motors facing opposite directions.
Yeah, they were in the last video, and they will be on this one too.
And then someone said something about streaming testing it.
I can try to stream testing it.
But we don't ever really test.
Yeah, it's not a test, and then we film for the video. Like, the test is the video.
Yeah.
So I could live stream that, but it's probably going to end up being from a cell phone, because I don't have anywhere close to me that has a big enough area that I can throw this thing and feel safe that it's not going to hit something. Because I have no idea how far this is going to fly. Because the wings are canted, so once I sand everything down and get the airfoil shape back, it's going to create lift, and with the canted wings, and the rocket engines are flush to the bottom of the wings, so they're also, instead of just pushing it around, they're going to push it up at the same time. So this thing's probably going to go really far in whatever direction the top of it is facing when the rocket engines turn on, because the lift is going to pull it that direction. Now, obviously, there'll be some input from the forward momentum from me throwing it, but I have a feeling as fast as this is going to spin that it's probably going to move that direction more than that direction.
Hey, got a super chat.
Cool.
Fuzz says, hey guys, thank you for the super chat.
Thanks, Fuzz.
Someone recommended making a boomerang out of my hair.
What's your hair's tensile strength like? Is it?
It's close to Superman.
Is it stronger than carbon fiber?
Yeah.
I don't know how we'd work with it. How do you get your hair cut if your hair is that powerful?
It just doesn't grow, I guess. I don't cut my hair.
Do you use laser vision? That's how Superman shaves, right? He looks in the mirror and has laser vision.
That would work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that how you cut your hair?
I just will my hair into a position.
Any other questions from anyone? Questions? Just got here.
Supersize the boomerang.
Supersize it. Now that's a good idea.
Make a flamethrower. I already did that.
Yeah. I have another idea that involves fire.
Ooh, LEDs.
See, I got push button latching switches for this, because when I did the last one, that thing was terrifying. The lanyard that I had was just long enough that if I held it like this with it close to my arm, it wouldn't turn on. But as soon as it started to move, the tab came out and the rocket engines would fire. And obviously you saw when I threw it, it was pretty far away from me. But, the amount of time that takes for that to happen, if you yanked it out by accident and it went off, it wouldn't be fun. Rocket exhaust is ridiculously hot. So I got a latching on-off switch that I can mount inside this, and I was thinking about putting an LED indicator on it, or a couple of them, so that you can tell if there's power to the system, so that you know to be really careful not to pull the little lanyard thing out. Oh, and a bunch of people asked in the comments on that video how fast this thing was spinning. So I went in, I filmed at 240 frames per second, and when I first threw it before the rocket engine turned on, it was spinning slow enough that I could use the frames to count how long it took for it to make one revolution, So then you multiplied the frames that it took and figure out how many seconds or whatever. You can get your RPMs. So when I throw the boomerang, it was roughly 400 RPMs. Shortly after the rocket motors lit, it reached right around 2,400 RPM. Actually, it was 2,400 RPMs about 2/3 of the way into it, and it maintained 2,400 RPMs until it separated. And then I couldn't tell what was going on. And the only way that I could figure out how many rotations it was doing per time period was by looking at the sound wave. I had to actually count the rotations based on the noise increase as the rocket motors came around. That was the only way I could tell. And 2,400 RPMs is pretty fast for a piece of plywood. I mean, compared to, you know, an engine. It's made to spin fast.
Is that why it fell apart?
Yeah. Any other good stuff coming up?
It's kind of listening to what you were saying. I wasn't paying attention.
What's that long one?
Egg is asking, I'm looking to go into welding in either mechanical or industrial engineering. Any tips on getting into the whole field of working with metal and welding you can share?
I took welding class in high school, and that's the extent of my welding experience. When I was in the Navy, I worked on airplanes for a little bit, so I worked with aluminum. That was mostly just popping rivets and doing general maintenance on aircraft. It didn't really teach me to build anything. I've always just built stuff. My degree is in finance. I got my bachelor's in finance, and I hated it, so that's why I joined the Navy. So after I got out of the Navy, I decided I wanted to start a business, and I started doing this because this is what I like to do. But I have no experience in this, and I don't know what any of those programs are like, so I can't really give you any kind of advice on that, unfortunately.
Make a flying bike. And please notice this and read it out loud.
A flying bike. How do you think you can watch to see? How do you want me to make it fly? Like with wings and a propulsion system, or you want a bike like Colin Furze did where he used paramotors, like something that gives you enough thrust that it just lifts off the ground? Or like forward momentum with lift. You know, which way do you want it to go? And I also need some advice on how to finance a project like that. 'Cause
you can put powerful fans like the ones on the Hacksmith's Iron Man project.
I could. That would cost something similar to what he talked about, which would probably be around $90,000 to be able to do that. But it'd be cool. Has anybody seen the it's like a multi-rotor drone, but you can sit on it. I'm sure some of you have probably seen the video of that guy doing it. That guy's been working on that for years and years, and he's gotten to the point where he can fly around in it reasonably, but it's not fast. We just don't have the technology right now to store enough energy in a weight that's light enough to make that possible. As far as electricity goes, you could do something gas-powered. That's why it was relatively easy for Colin Furze to make his paramotored bike float, because the chemical energy contained in fuel, like by weight, is so much higher than any electrical system that we have.
Actually, you just need a bike, a ceiling fan, and some duct tape. So you got it all wrong. Build Rick's portal gun.
Rick's portal gun. Do you want a prop, or do you want me to actually go interdimensional? Like, because I don't know how to do that. I could pretend like I do, but I don't.
Do any RC jets that actually powered be a jet engine?
Do I have any RC jets that what?
Do an RC jet that's actually powered be a jet engine?
Oh, gotcha. Jet engines are really difficult to make. I've seen people try to make them out of soup cans, and it's difficult to get them to run. But even if you can get it to run, that doesn't mean it's making any thrust. So buying an actual fuel-powered jet engine is prohibitively expensive. It's pretty crazy how much those things cost.
The Council of JAIRUS. Have you considered making a hovercraft with leaf blowers?
I do like to use leaf blowers in projects, but I have never thought about making a hovercraft out of them. See, the thing with a leaf blower is it's meant to move a substantial amount of air. Like, it's a volume system, it's not a pressure system. So when you're talking about a hovercraft, you're trying to build up enough pressure in the area. So you'd probably have to modify the turbine side of leaf blower. I don't think you can get much pressure out of them. You might be able to, especially the new electric ones. Some of the new electric ones do, I think it's like 400, whatever their rating is, cubic feet per minute, or something crazy like that. It's something like that, and they blow wind over 250 miles an hour. And they're lipo-powered with a brushless motor. And they aren't even that expensive. So it might be possible, but when I say not expensive, I mean compared to the backpack fuel-powered type. Like, those are $500-600. The electric ones are, I think they're around $200 a piece. So you probably need quite a few of them to be able to do it.
Put a Tiny Cox Pee-wee engine on it. Does that make sense to you?
No, I have no idea what that is. Is anybody interested in hearing about the ignition system for this? Because that is initially what I said I was going to talk about and work on in this.
We can keep answering questions as you work on that.
Yeah, I didn't have time to get everything ready to be able to work on this thing while I'm answering questions. So I need to get a soldering iron together and some wires and some things.
John F. Kennedy wants you to build a statue of John F. Kennedy.
I'm artsy, but I'm not that artsy. Oh, a friend of mine in the Isle of Man, he has a YouTube channel. Excuse me, he has a YouTube channel. It's called Dead Statics, DeadStatix. And he used to do a lot of videos on it, and his videos always did really well. And he hasn't done it for a long time, but he's going to start doing videos again. So if you like watching really cool video game stuff, he's going to be doing some mod stuff in Fallout 4 that's absolutely hysterical. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say what he's going to do. I don't want to give up his secrets, but he's doing some really hilarious stuff, and his videos are pretty great. He gets tons of views, even though his sub count is super low. I mean, not super low, but like, it's low compared to the amount of views that he gets. Any other questions? Alright, we're going to try some. Bryce, read every comment.
Read every comment?
Every single one. Just start going. As they roll up, just go to the bottom, let them scroll.
Well, the first one I want to mention is that Breaking Bad shirt. I was hoping people would notice my shirt.
What about this?
Make a 1 foot plane and use sugar rockets or something to make thrusts to make the wings like this. Cut your wings in half and use one half and put on a 90-degree angle on both of them. Put them on T. I guess he ran out of room to type. Please say hi to me out loud.
What's their name?
Micah.
There you go.
Do something cool.
Alright, I'll do something cool.
Just don't hit your head.
I'm not. I'm going to crawl over here.
You should make a suit with swords as arms. Fortis, super chat, thank you. Hey JAIRUS, you massively help my channel and help keep me motivated. Just wanted to say thanks.
No problem, man. My pleasure. He makes good videos. If you haven't watched Fortis's videos, go watch Fortis's videos. Fordas. Super easy to find.
Make a flying Bluetooth speaker.
Got
it. Is that a tampon beside the Boomerang?
No, it's a battery pack.
That was funny. I looked over and saw it. I was like, it kind of does look like a tampon.
There's a CR2 battery in there, and you just stick a little piece of like a 2-liter soda bottle through there, and it keeps the connection from being made. This is what I used on the rocket spear, and the rocket hatchet to fire the ignition after it left my hand, so that it didn't cook me or melt my face off. I'll leave it there so you guys can look at it.
What is the boomerang made out
of? Balsa wood. It's like craft. It's like hobbyist wood. It's super lightweight. It's almost like foam, almost. And then it's coated in actual carbon fiber and resin. And I haven't done this in a long time. And this has, it doesn't really look like it, but there's a lot of fairly complex curves on this. And then I had to make all of the seams meet the whole way around, which was really difficult, especially on the leading edge of the wings, which is why I got all these little fingers of carbon fiber sticking off of them that look garbagey, that I need to sand off.
Can you make a time machine and go back in time and punch Hitler in the face?
I can't get my fingernail on.
Alright, we got some fire.
You said do something cool.
There you go.
Hold on. Let's see.
You feel the heat off of that, too.
I can't get my fingernail on it. I don't want it. Yeah! You can just start a little. That's in the middle of the table, right?
Perry says hi.
Here.
I don't know if you know a Perry.
It's maybe Dead Statics? Or
where did it go? Yeah, Dead Statics, yep.
There he is.
Do you plan on doing any more Fallout weapons? Justice Brown recommends shish kebab or pip weapons.
A lot of people have done the shish kebab, and I haven't really thought of a way to do it that's substantially better than anyone else's yet. I do think it'd be cool to make one. I'm just not sure what I'm going to do yet. And then, what was the other part of the question?
Oh, shish kebab?
Besides the shish kebab.
Pip weapon.
I don't
know if he's referring like to the Pip Boy that you wear on your arm.
But as far as other Fallout weapons, there's always stuff that I see that I want to build. It's just whether it floats to the top of the list of things that I'm planning on doing. Like I wanted to do a striker or a Fat Man for a really long time. It just took a while to get to it.
Will you be at Sci-Fi Con next year?
Yes, I will be. As long as you're talking about Sci-Fi Valley Con in Altoona. Yes, I'll be there.
Make a portal gun that works.
Nobody really even knows if there's other dimensions. So
make it pocket-sized brushless chainsaw.
Ooh, kind of like that thing that AVE just reviewed. I've thought about doing something like that. I don't really have the tools to make like custom gears. Or, you know, I mean, it's really precision hardware to make a chainsaw run. I mean, it's not like super precision, but it's more than I have the ability to do with an angle grinder here in my garage. So that would be kind of difficult. But it is a cool idea.
Okay, make the hovering speeder bike from Star Wars using jet ski propulsion. I thought you liked that one.
What if I just make a jet ski look like it and then ride it on the water? Does that count?
That might work. It's probably less dangerous than through the woods, like in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Hitting a lot of trees and blowing up. Make a thermite sword.
A thermite sword?
Oh, that's a good question. What do your neighbors think of you? I think you get that
Actually, the neighbor on this side of my house is she's not really old, but she's older than I am. It's an older lady, and she has no problem with what I do. She likes the fact that I'm always out in my shop and walking around because she said it makes her feel safe. And she knows I build crazy stuff and people probably won't mess with us. And then the neighbor on the other side is not that much older than me, and he loves the stuff that I do. And on that side, which is substantially further away than it looks like in the video, is a retirement community. And they stay pretty quiet. I haven't heard anything about the stuff that I do. The stuff that goes really far, that's actually very dangerous, I go to other places to use it, so that I don't have to endanger my neighbors or risk getting arrested for playing with stuff that might potentially be illegal. I don't think anything I've made is legal, though. Illegal, not legal. What? Out with it. You can't just sit there and laugh.
I'm sorry. I was gonna preface that I laugh at the stupidest things. Wear the boomerang like a hat. I mean, that struck me as funny.
Me or him?
Build the Death Star with a working planet destroyer. Make it out of a metal called microlattice. It's 100 times lighter than styrofoam. Familiar with microlattice?
I think I know what they're talking about. It's only been produced in like super small quantities, and it's crazy, crazy expensive. What do they want? Make the boomerang out of microlattice? Was that what that was for?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Like the boomerang's amount of that would be. I don't even know. I don't know. I could look it up, but.
Gundam Barbatos's spear weapon.
See, I want to do that, but I want to do it as a collaboration with Michael Cthulhu. I want him to help me build like the main structure of the weapon, but I want to handle the mechanical part. You know how, like, I'm guessing you're talking about his mace where the spike comes out of the middle of it. I want to build the mechanical part that pushes the spike out of the middle and work with him to get it integrated into the weapon, but I don't even know where you get pieces of steel big enough to make that to scale for a human. As far as I know, I don't have a metal supply place around here anymore that has that kind of stuff. I might be able to find it, but I haven't been able to find a place that gets Hardox, like tool steel, like or it's not tool steel, but it's hardened steel. There's nowhere that I've been able to find to be able to get that stuff, and he has like a local shop that he can get that from.
Make an induction glove.
I have no idea what an induction glove is.
Are you able to terraform a planet so humans can live on it?
Give me 20 years. What's the paragraph?
I think graphene, I'm going to mess this up, aerogel would do better in cost than microlattice.
Well, aerogel doesn't have any resilience. Like
Still would need reinforcement though, and it would be like a foam. It is an aerogel after all. Yeah,
aerogel basically weighs nothing, but it's also crazy soft, like he said in his paragraph that he wrote. So
make a kitchen cabinet.
Make a kitchen cabinet.
Make a kitchen cabinet.
I don't know if I'll get any views if I just build a kitchen cabinet.
Induction heats using magnets.
So I was reading about that the other day, how they use like induction heating on stoves, and you have to have a steel pan. Like if you don't have a ferrous metal, I believe it is, it won't work on it. So if you have an aluminum pan, it won't warm up from it, and it has something to do with the oscillation of something. I'm not an electronics expert. I don't know very much about electricity or magnetism, but I kind of grasp the concept of it. I don't know it well enough to... this fly needs to die.
There's a few in here. The Scorching Inventor. Hey, JAIRUS, I just want to thank you for your inspiration. It helps very much with my projects. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
A sword out of dry ice.
A sword out of dry ice? Dry ice is pretty brittle. I don't know how you shape it.
Are you doing any more Nerf stuff?
So you guys have seen my, well, if you haven't seen my fire tornado gun, you should go watch that video as soon as the live stream is done, because I think that's like one of the coolest videos ever done. Actually, Unilad just asked me if they could put it on Facebook, so maybe that'll get it some traction. But
so technically, that's a Nerf video.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I mean, it's a fire tornado gun made from a Nerf gun, and after I built that, it was so big and it was so heavy and it was so unwieldy to carry around and, you know, do anything with. I decided that at some point I'd like to make Nerf pistols that are flamethrowers. No fire tornado apparatus on the, like, no vortex generator on the front to make it shoot fire tornadoes, but I thought it'd be cool if I could do something like that and just have like pistols that were, you know, flamethrowers. I've never seen that before.
Hit the fly with the boomerang.
If it comes around, this thing is sharp. It's hard to grab it hard. I keep getting, it keeps puncturing. Or feeling like it's almost going to puncture my skin.
Saying you should shave with it. Is it sharp enough to do that?
I don't think it's sharp enough to do that. I mean, there isn't an edge on here that's sharp enough. It's just all the little hairs sticking off are like little pokey bits.
How in God's name do you know how to make all this stuff?
I get that question a lot, and I'm not really sure what to tell you. I like to make stuff. So, you know, I try hard, but at the same time I don't try hard because I enjoy doing it so much, it doesn't seem like it's that much work. It does sometimes when a project doesn't go right, and I have to spend too much time working on it.
Would you do a collab with William Osmond?
I did do a collab with William Osmond at the Hacksmith's place. It was a 4-way collaboration between me, the Hacksmith, Peter Sripple, and William Osmond.
Make a cabinet that has smaller cabinets in it, that has even more small cabinets in them. I believe in you. Where did I get my shirt? Someone gave it to me, so I don't know where they got it from.
Say the names of the people that are commenting, just in case I recognize who they are.
Okay.
Have you seen Camerick yet?
Do you recognize John F. Kennedy?
Yeah,
he's pretty famous.
He's posted a couple times.
Made 20,000 spoons and launched them into space. And he's holding you to that 20-year terraforming.
Okay. Fair enough.
Commando 00721, make a tank!
Make a tank. I do have a tank-esque project that I've been thinking about for a long time. But it's going to be kind of expensive, and I'm not making enough money doing this to justify building something like that yet. It's going to be a while before I can do that.
Cody Dale keeps saying wet bike.
Oh. Cody Dale was in the Navy with me. And I
right.
bought wet bikes when I was in the Navy, and I still have them, and I haven't fixed them. And he's upset with me for not fixing them. So, hi Dale family. Sorry I haven't done any wet bike projects yet. If you don't know what a wet bike is, look it up. It's not fake, that's a real name. It's a James Bond vehicle. It's almost like a jet ski, but instead of just having the sit-down part, the pump is actually on like a pedestal. It's at the bottom of a pedestal that has a hydrofoil on it. And then the front has like a ski that you steer like a motorcycle, and when you start riding, the body lifts up out of the water and you actually ride on top of the water. But you have no gyroscopic force like you do on a motorcycle from the wheels, so they're really difficult to ride because nothing's keeping you up except for you turning back and forth trying to keep the bike underneath you.
Laser mirror shield.
Laser mirror shield.
Let me go up to here. There was a comment about doing... Yeah, Justice Brown says, have a vote between what some fan-based projects you can do.
Is there a way to...
I don't know. So we've had a lot of suggestions. Maybe at some point we can put together all the suggestions and have fans vote on it.
How many people want to see me build a Heat Hawk from Gundam? Because I want to build one, but I want to see how much interest there is in it. I think there's a lot, because when I did the Hammer Chopper, it seemed like every other comment was build a Heat Hawk. So, obviously this isn't a Gundam video, so I want to see how many people want that.
There's Camerick.
Yeah!
You want to do a shout out to him. He asked, why did you start doing YouTube?
Why did I start doing YouTube? Camerick, that is a good question. And I'll tell you exactly why I started YouTube. I was trying to figure out a way to start a business, because I knew that I wanted to start a business to challenge myself. I had jobs the whole way through college. I paid off my student loans while I was in the Navy. I did that. I thought it would give me purpose. And I realized that I probably needed to do something that was more for myself, and instead of working for somebody. Which there's nothing wrong with working for somebody. I just felt like it would be good for me to be able to do that. Which I always thought that was hokey that people said that, but I got to that point. So I tried to figure out a way to start a business that could be something that I'm passionate about. And I'm passionate about building things and having people build things. Because I feel like if I can inspire other people to build things, they're going to be more self-reliant and they'll be able to handle themselves better and better themselves as a person. I truly believe that. So in the process of that, it's incredibly difficult to start a business where you do one-off prototypes. There's not really a market for it unless you're DARPA. And that's really super advanced, and I don't have the engineering or math or science background to work for them. And like I said, I didn't want a job anyway. So the only viable option for me was to start a YouTube channel where I could build anything and everything that I could think of or wanted to make, and I could potentially make money from it. And it took a really long time for my channel to get going, and it's just starting to roll now, which is great because, you know, it's been 2 years coming. 2 years of making nothing from doing this. Working part-time jobs and scrounging.
Thomas Gates, when are you going to do another Roman candle build again? LOL. Miss you, man.
That's another friend of mine from the Navy. I can't get Roman candles in Pennsylvania, so I don't know when I could do something like that. Oh, and in case you're wondering how I know who Camerick is, he's been close to the first commenter on nearly every single video that I've posted since I had probably, I don't know, a couple thousand subscribers, if that. He was one of the first, and he's just, I think it was 5,000 subscribers that he started commenting. And that, you know, when you're at 5,000 subscribers, you don't get a huge amount of views right away, and not that many people comment. So when you've got somebody that consistently comments first, you start to notice them. And he was the only one that was doing it. And he's consistently done that till now, which is kind of crazy to me. He's like the president of the notification squad on my channel.
Unofficial. $5 super chat.
Now he's official.
Can you please make the railway... I have difficulty saying that for some reason. Please make the railway rifle from Fallout 4.
I want to build that really bad. That's probably one of my top Fallout weapons that I want to build and I haven't gotten to yet. The problem with it is, I don't know what kind of system I can get that I have a high enough flow rate if I use pneumatics to fire the railway spike out of it fast enough for it to be worthwhile to build. And if I don't do that, and I try to use gunpowder, I don't know what the laws are on building it with gunpowder in it. You know, like gun stuff's not exactly a you know, friendly topic right now, I guess I should say. So I'm not trying to build something right now that could potentially send me to jail and have my channel shut down. But I do really want to build one. I just need to figure out a way to be able to do it that it doesn't break any laws. And I know air-powered is fine. I just don't know how to build something that's air-powered that can move something as gigantic and oddly shaped as a railroad spike. That's going to be really difficult.
Sneaky Studios has invited you to the UK to do some blacksmithing with him.
Oh, yeah?
He said he's a blacksmith.
I heard that the tickets to the UK are pretty cheap right now. It doesn't cost that much to fly over there. You can email me at JAIRUSOFALL@gmail.com. And if I ever make it over there, we can do a video and I can do some blacksmithing. I've always wanted to try it. I've seen people do it in real life. I've watched a ton of videos on it. But I've never gotten a chance to hit some red hot steel with a hammer. That's just weird.
Someone told me to do it.
I like how I didn't get any warning. Thanks. How many people do we have watching right now?
192.
Cool.
And I think people are getting anxious for you to work on something.
To work on something?
Yeah, you gotta work.
What do you want me to work on?
You should make a backpack pumpkin launcher. Oh, and a donut RC car, please.
Like an RC car made out of donuts.
I guess.
Or do I just put donuts on his wheels? Because that wouldn't last very long.
That would be funny, though.
Donuts aren't vulcanized, so they'd probably fall apart pretty fast.
Just make the track out of donut holes. I have a question. How cool is friggin' Boom Toys to work with? Is he a nice guy?
Yeah, he's a super nice guy.
Friggin' Boom Toys said that.
Oh! That guy. He's funny, too. Obviously. How cool is friggin' Boom Toys to work with? Alright, I need to grab some tools if I'm gonna work on anything. I'll show you the little rig for the batteries.
Watch your head.
Was that close?
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Do you know how to do a backflip?
No, not at all. Never tried. Terrified.
Hashtag donut wheels. What's your favorite invention?
Of all time? Man, nobody's ever asked me that.
He's gonna think on that one.
Yeah. Does anybody want to see my most recent Star Wars artwork?
Does anyone want to see JAIRUS' most recent Star Wars artwork? I don't know if you can hear him. He's behind the mic, so I will repeat what he says. Yes.
Alright.
Boss plus Moors, I noticed you.
Here, you want to grab this?
Yep.
Let's see if you can hold it up so it fits. Is it in?
Yep.
There you go. Spray paint art. Proud of it. I've been planning on doing that for a long time now, and I finally got it done.
So it's all done from spray paint.
Yep. Here, you can hand it back to me.
Okay.
I'm almost to the electrical stuff.
Getting a lot of requests to smash things with the power fist. So maybe we can do that as a stream sometime. Just set up a bunch of stuff for you to smash.
Oh, I think people will get a kick out of this. So, when where are we at? When I have friends come over, sometimes they'll help grab me something out of my toolbox or something like that. And they're always surprised to find some of the stuff that's in there. Like, some of it's tools that they don't know what the tool is because they haven't seen it before or whatever. But, yeah, this always gets a laugh. People think this is hysterical. You want to switch the camera for me?
Yeah.
Are we?
Yep.
So in the bottom drawer of my toolbox, I was running out of room to keep stuff. So it's heavy. I keep the power fist down there. So people open it and they're like, "Really? You have a power fist in your toolbox?" Am I showing it? Yeah. I was getting some heat guns. The backpack is right there with the CO2 cylinder. So that's probably the most interesting tool that I have in the toolbox. Here we go. Keep them coming.
Electro Panther noticed me and asked if he could make a new powerhouse, please.
What's a powerhouse?
I don't know. There were people asking you to make your own power supply. Something like that. Your own power source.
Interesting. That would be fun. I'm still thinking about my favorite invention question.
While you're thinking about that, Blake Hansen wants to know, what's your favorite color?
Goes back and forth between blue and orange. I typically say orange.
Friggin' Boom Toy says, make a Thor's hammer with a drone in the head so it can fly into your hand.
That would be pretty cool. I'm trying to think how you'd... I mean, if you made it... Okay. I'm going to draw a picture so that we're all on the same page for this idea. Alright, here we go. So you've got Thor's hammer, right? And there's the handle, and then you have the head of it up here. And you got this big block. So, let's just make this a little three-dimensional so that it makes it slightly easier. So would you have, like, arms coming off at the four corners? And that they would have, like, you know, the rotor blades, the little motors out here. Would it be like that, so it could fly around like a quadcopter and just, you know, control like that? Or what you could do is inside the hammerhead, and this would be substantially more difficult, and I don't even know if they make anything that's small enough to be able to do this, but it would look way more authentic if you did it this way.
He says, that is pretty much what I was thinking.
Oh, okay. Well, let me get my other idea out. You basically have four holes at the four corners, and inside there would be tubes. And inside those tubes, I mean, they would pass straight through, but you would have basically like an EDF fan inside of the tube, like in the middle right there, running. And then you could have all your power supply and everything. But it's difficult to have a EDF fan produce enough power based on the weight of everything that's included with it to be able to even lift much up. I mean, there's definitely RC jets that can do vertical takeoff, but it would be hard to do it that way. But that would look awesome because it would just look like Thor's hammer floating around in the air if you could have tubes with thrust coming out of them. Maybe I'll just put rocket engines in there and it won't fly to me. I can just shoot it at something. You know, just put some rocket motor. You know, that's supposed to be smoke. What you got?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, wait. This is upside down, you guys. You can't even tell. There. Holy cow.
Friggin' Boom Toy said he didn't even think of tubes.
Tubes
in glass.
Who has seen the X-Men where Xavier fires Wolverine? Absolutely hilarious. If you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor and look it up.
There was one here, he said, make something really complicated that does something really simple. It was to that effect.
You know, I actually... This was before I started YouTube, but I had this idea, like a compactor that you used to like pack dirt, or you used to pack like stone dust to do a patio or whatever. It has like a big area, and you have to pound a lot to get the stones worked down in. So I had this idea to have, it would basically look like a snowblower, but in the front, instead of having tines that would turn, you would have basically wheels that had posts on them that would turn, and they would pull on ropes, and once it got to a certain point, it would release the rope. And the rope would go around a pulley, and it would lift up sledgehammers. So you'd have like 15 sledgehammers across the front, and you'd turn this thing on, and it would run, and it would just lift and drop the sledgehammers over and over, and it would, you know, you'd have all that impact in little spaces. You would get way more compacted dirt way faster. So as far as a super complicated machine, I don't know why I had that idea. It's weird. And I can't remember why I thought of that, but I just figured it'd be interesting if I got a chance to build that. I mean, that's pretty complicated for just smacking dirt, you know?
Make something to rival Peter Stripple's and William Osmond's RC CD launcher.
RC CD launcher. I don't remember that.
See that one?
I watched their videos. I don't remember that one.
It was like an old VHS player. And then they had some that launched CDs out.
Oh, yeah. That one was cool. See, those guys, they know a lot about programming and electronics and RC stuff, and I never really when I messed with RC cars when I was a little kid, and I did stuff to them. Like, I'd take the guts out of RC cars, and then I'd put them in Legos, and that way the Legos would drive around. Like, that was the kind of stuff that I did. I've always been mechanically oriented. I've never been good with electronics, but then again, I've never taken a course on electronics. I've never had any formal training on it. I should probably do that.
React to your old vids.
Oh.
Do you dare?
I don't. I watch my old videos sometimes. Not the oldest ones, but I watch them sometimes because I want to be reminded of how good or bad they were. But mostly whenever I watch them, it just gives me motivation to keep going. Because when I go back and look at them, I remember, like, if I'm really sick of a project, I'm really bored with it, back then I was doing everything purely because I was enjoying it. And now sometimes it gets so difficult to put a video out fast because Bryce helps me when he can, but I mean 98% of the time it's just me here. I film and edit and plan and research and buy and build all of my projects and videos. When Bryce helps me out is when I have to have somebody else run the camera. So it's always fun to see where I've come from with stuff. But trying to put out a video a week is difficult. But I'd like to get to the point where I can do 2 videos a week, and it's difficult. But in order to do that, I have to do simpler videos for one of the days. Like, definitely much simpler. And if it is a simple video, it's usually doing something with something that I've already built. And usually when I do that, I have to have somebody else run a camera, which means I have to find somebody that's willing to come over and do that, which is difficult. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm getting off. I'm just rambling
now. Someone was saying make an extendo glove like Go Gadget.
That would be pretty cool.
Or a Harry Potter one that shoots rockets or fireworks, but the trigger would be voice activated, so to say the spells and ammo comes out.
I have no idea how you would... Is there voice recognition stuff? I mean, you would have to have wires like that go up your sleeve, so it looks like you're just holding the wand, but wires would go up your sleeve, and you'd have a whole bunch of stuff. And voice recognition is difficult. I mean, what if you said the spell wrong and it went off anyway? That wouldn't be fair.
Vote JAIRUS U.S. President 2020.
I have no desire to be president.
What kind of car do you drive?
I drive a 92 Mazda B2200 truck. It's a little tiny old truck. It's very slow. That's my daily driver.
Blake says make a reverse bear trap.
What's reverse about it? It sets bears free, or bears set it and it catches us.
Make a rocket-powered turd.
That video would get flagged.
Have you heard of Arduino?
Yes. And I have some. And I have a book on it. But I haven't taken the time to learn how to do it.
Your truck is slow? Add rockets.
I don't even think rockets would help that truck.
Rocket-powered go-kart.
I do want to build some go-karts. Not rockets on them.
Random Guy 86. Make something from Fortnite or the tech rifle from Ark Survival Evolved. I don't know if you're familiar with either of those games.
I'm not. I don't have a whole lot of time to play video games.
We'll look into that.
What was it again?
There are some cool weapons in Fortnite.
It was Fortnite and Ark?
Ark, yeah.
Just A-R-C?
A-R-K.
A-R-K.
Spelled A-R-K. You, like, fight dinosaurs and it's like caveman stuff, if I remember right.
Fortnite. F-O-R-T-N-I-G-H-T. Or is it spelled funny because it's a video game? It's not like Fartnite.
It's F-O-R-T.
Alright.
N-I-T-E.
Oh, N-I-T-E.
Yeah.
See, that's why I had to ask.
Oh yeah, some YouTuber named Brainfood did something similar with the Yandu. Probably spelled it wrong. Arrow. He just had whistle and the arrow went flying off.
Right. It was, he had to hit 2 tones. So that it wasn't like voice recognition, but the sound recognition thing that he got recognized 2 tones. And if you hit those 2 tones, then it would launch the rocket arrow dart thing. That was really cool. I've never shot a rocket from my hand. Kind of want to do that.
Alfonso from the Philippines wants you to do a shout out. And he says, I love all your work. Do you like Kingsman the movie?
I haven't seen the second one yet, but I really like the first one. And I really like the first one because I got the comic books when they came out, because the guy that owns the comic book store that I used to go to when I was in the Navy told me it was a good series. So I got it, and I read it, and it was great. And then the movie came out, and it was really good too. But I haven't seen the second one. I heard the second one's just a rehashing. It's not very good, but I don't know if that's true. The Hacksmith's umbrella, by the way, I got to see that thing when it was in progress when we did the collaboration up there. And that was... You might think that it looked a little bit complicated, but you have no idea. It was fantastic. That thing was really cool. They had so much work involved in building that umbrella.
Make a more powerful version of Jorg Sprov's 1,000 joule gun.
I mean, we're in the U.S. If I want to make a more powerful version of that, I could just go out and buy a gun. Or I could try to make it with rubber bands. Or air. I guess he used pneumatics. That was air-powered for him. That is one thing I could do. I could do a railway rifle and use the ball valve system with rubber bands that open it fast, like he does. I just, I don't know what it would... I still think that would just be pretty dangerous. I don't know. The railway gun would be such a cool thing to build. If I did that, it would take forever to charge it. So it wouldn't be like something that you could just shoot over and over. You know, you'd take 30 minutes to get it ready, and then you'd have one shot from it. I mean, with the magic of YouTube editing, it would seem awesome, but it would, you know, that's the kind of thing that would take me a day or more to film if I was trying to make a video for it. And when I say a day or more, I'm not talking like a few hours a day. I'm talking like get up in the morning, start preparing, and then film until it's dusk, you know? Like an all-day event.
Collab with the King of Random.
The King of Random is, I mean, he's kind of top of the game. I don't think somebody with however many subs I have right now, 160,000, is going to be able to collaborate with him.
What did you do in the Navy?
I was an air traffic controller, and I worked on airplanes. Is that a bunch of crying faces?
Yes. Yeah, when are you getting to the Boomerang by chance?
All right. So here's... Nobody said anything about which battery system they think I should use. Should I use the single LiPo cell to set it off?
Or the tampon?
Or should I use the tampon? Nobody's given me a...
Someone did say earlier...
because I have to put...
flat cell. I wasn't sure what they were
I
saying.
have to use 2 tampons, right? If I do this way. 1 for each rocket engine. Because if I use just one, it doesn't put out enough to be able to get those igniters to go off simultaneously. Whereas this does. Obviously.
A lot of LiPos. LiPo, tampon, LiPo.
This is what I had on the first Boomerang.
Double A's.
I stuck it on there, and I wired it up, and I went frame by frame in the video to see if the rockets ignited at exactly the same time, and it looked like there was less than a frame between when one lit and the other one lit. So it actually worked out really well with this battery. And I think it'd probably work out really well if I use 2 of these. I'm just not sure. I wasn't sure what I want to do. These are easier. And the reason these are easier is because I have this PVC pipe with a slit in it, so I just put 2 tabs in the 2 pipes, and it keeps it from contacting. If I do this one, I have to build another switching system that's external from the battery. Obviously, I can't make a switch in it. That has to be mounted somewhere in the body of this thing, which I did last time, and it was relatively easy because it was plywood, and I could just put screws in to hold plates on and springs in place to make a little switching system, and I can't do that for this. I mean, I could try, but it would probably end up just stripping out. It's difficult to just put screws in a single layer of carbon fiber and have it hold very well.
Lyndon Rose, don't have power supply on the Boomerang.
Well, how do the rocket engines ignite? I mean, if he means like have wires that go to it?
Yeah, I guess it would be wires, but the battery wouldn't end up being on it.
If I use... Okay, so that's a good idea. I'm not going to say that that's a bad idea, because it's not. It's a good idea. The problem with that would be when you throw the Boomerang, or with any thrown weapon like this, you have the tiny little leads from the electronic match that ignites the rocket engine, even if you use wires to go to it, right? And as soon as you throw it, it starts to rotate. And if the wire twists, those leads will cross, and then they'll ground through the leads instead of going through the little piece of nichrome wire that's at the end. At least I think it's nichrome wire at the end. That ignites the starter ignition thing that makes the rocket engine fire. So if that would happen, you'd end up throwing it over and over again until you got a throw where the leads didn't cross. And with the Boomerang, since you have 2 and you'd have 2 sets of wires, you probably have a good chance that one or none would go off. And if one went off, it would just be anticlimactic. And then if you insulated those wires, you would have to have wires that were light enough and long enough that you could throw it and they wouldn't interfere with the flight. Because these are on the bottom. So when you throw the... Am I in the frame? Yeah. So when you throw this, if you have wires that are connected to these 2 rocket engines, and one wire starts to pull more than the other, and you know, they're at opposite ends, so it shouldn't have too much effect on its flight. But if those engines don't ignite before you get to the end of the wire, then nothing's going to happen. They're just going to pull out.
There was some concern about the LiPo breaking or catching on fire.
The LiPo's going to go on the bottom, and the rocket engines are higher than that, and it has a lot of surround around it. So unless it landed directly on a rock somehow, I don't think I really need to worry about that too much. And I'll be throwing it in a place where it's not going to catch anything on fire. But basically, here's my wires for this. So if I run the LiPo battery, I need to use these 2 wires that I built previously because I had a feeling I was going to do another thing like this. So I'll have to drill a hole the whole way through the carbon fiber. And the other problem with carbon, excuse me, with carbon fiber is it's extremely conductive. So all of this stuff has to be completely insulated, whereas when I made it out of plywood, obviously wood doesn't conduct electricity. So once I drill a hole in this, I have to get this system down inside it, but this one's going to have to stick up. Let me see, which way do I throw this? I think it's thrown like that. No, it's this way. That way. So it would be best if the tab is under a plate on this side that would hold. Let's see if you can see this. Yeah. So that's a piece that I chopped out of a battery pack. So basically this would be on the top, and this spring right here, can you see that from the battery pack? That would be coming through the bottom, and I would have to use something insulating and make sure it was fully embedded inside of the balsa wood so that it didn't. Neither of these wires could touch the carbon fiber. So I'm not really sure how I'm going to do that. I was thinking about just drilling a hole and winging it for right now, just to give it a shot and see if I can get it to work. And the spring isn't long enough to go the whole way through, so it's going to have to be like halfway through, which is actually a little bit better because then the fattest part will be, you know, centered inside of the wood. But this has to get mounted on the top, and then I have to make a switch, and you know, one side has to be split to go to the two different rocket engines, and then I need to get my, what are they? I need to get the plugs.
Kyle says your CF resin will burn.
So if you look here, this is the trailing edge of the tube. The rocket engine doesn't protrude from the leading edge. So this sticks out the bottom, and the exhaust is past this, and since it's flying this way, the exhaust won't hit this. And by the time this side comes around, it won't have a chance to do anything to it either, because this stuff doesn't catch on fire that fast. And then on this side, this is the trailing edge, and that's where the exhaust comes out. So no exhaust will hit the Boomerang, and it won't catch on fire. And they burn for such a short period of time, even though it's intense heat. These small rocket engines they won't be able to catch on fire. It's just like with the last Boomerang, it had Kydex hold downs that I used to hold the rocket engines in place, and people thought that they were going to get hot and melt, and the rocket engines would just fly out. But those rocket engines only burn for just over a second, so the amount of time that they have to saturate heat through the layer of cardboard and through the Kydex to make it loose takes, you know, way longer than a second and a half. So it doesn't really give it a chance to catch anything on fire.
Did you think about running the wires under your carbon fiber?
I did think about it, but then I would have to have everything balanced in advance, and I didn't know if the resin was going to throw off the balance of it. So I wouldn't know where the wires were supposed to come out. I could have like a general location where they came out, but it would still be really difficult to do. So that's why I didn't do that. And then I'd have to risk getting resin all over and holes where I didn't want it. I don't know where my solder is.
Could you make rocket-powered Heelys? Make a swarm of paper airplanes that move together.
That would be kind of cool.
Hydrokinesis. Record how far you can throw it without the rockets first. This way we can comprehend how much the rockets increase distance and not just rotation speed.
That's a good idea. And like I said in the video, the last one, that was the first time I threw a Boomerang. Like, my buddy gave me a Boomerang that he had to practice with, but it was an authentic, like, handmade one from Australia, and I didn't want to mess it up, so I ended up not practicing with it. So the last time when I threw that Boomerang, it was the first time I'd ever thrown one, and it was the first time I ever built one. So, if I throw this in the video, don't be surprised if it doesn't fly like a Boomerang is supposed to fly at all, because I know it takes some skill to be able to throw them and have them do what they're supposed to do. Alright, I got my wires. Oh, shoot. I'm just going to bring that case over because it's got all my other stuff in.
Back under the table he goes. Linked Lance says, "Oh, a nice costume, by the way, for the Halloween vid."
Thanks. I hate it.
Barter says, "JAIRUS, could you make your own drone by modifying a pre-made drone?"
Sure. If I had the money to buy a drone. Drones are expensive.
The table we're working on is what, 8 foot?
Across?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what someone asked. It's an 8-foot table. They can come in 6-foot and 4-foot varieties. Oh, what type of rockets are you going to be using?
In the
Death Reaper asks. I'm assuming he's saying on the,
In the Boomerang.
Boomerang.
Let me tell you.
just a second. Ooh, that was a close one. Almost.
Alright.
Alright. I think I'm done going back and forth now. I have B6-2s, and I have a bunch of C6-0s. The C6-0s I like because it's zero delay. It just burns and then it tries to light another rocket engine. It's a zero delay. It's a booster charge. I like those. I think they're cool, but a B6-2, it's a 2-second delay. So after you have that second and a half burn or whatever these, I think these are a second burn. You have a 2-second delay, which is basically like a smoke trail. So for this thing, I actually like these better because if I throw it and it spins really fast, it's going to have a smoke trail behind it that should look cool. So I might use these C6-5s. They have 5-second delay. So you get an even longer smoke trail, which would be cool.
Oh, when's the next model building?
We did film a model build video where Bryce and I and another friend of ours built models together, all three of us, and it was pretty fun. But it ended up being a really long video, and I don't know how YouTube safe it is. So
Yeah, well, we didn't have enough camera angles too. I was afraid it was going to be a little boring.
Maybe it'll be a Patreon exclusive.
Yeah.
Or something. Alright. I'm afraid this tab is going to break off. It looks like it's getting close. I need to tin these because they don't look like they're tinned anymore. It looks like it fell off. Is this thing on?
How comfortable are you with high voltage? Noah asks. Can you incorporate more sparks in your next projects?
I don't know how. I haven't, like I said, I don't really mess with electricity stuff very often.
Make a pneumatic explosion that launches candy out of the bucket for Halloween.
I think trick or treat is actually tonight in my town, so I don't have any time left because it's probably over at this point.
Maybe next year we
can
do an epic Halloween video.
Epic candy launching thing.
Blake Hansen asks, what's your favorite tool?
I can't do that far. Angle grinder, probably, because I use it for seemingly everything. What's your favorite tool? Must be the wrong side. Goodness, this stuff is junk.
Make something with thermite. A blower that blows out super hot air to melt snow.
Okay. Speaking of that, when I did the fire tornado gun, I fired the fire tornado gun into the snow. It was late one night. I had a friend come over and film me, and I tried to melt snow with it, and it basically did nothing. It's really hard to melt snow because you're trying to, cause a a change in the state of water, so it takes a crazy amount of energy. So like blowing hot air on snow would take a really long time. It would be almost ineffectual because it would take so long to try to get it to work. Man, these things are junk. I hate these little tabs.
Do you have any merch?
Coming very soon.
Are the stickers still available on your store?
I think so. I haven't taken the store down yet.
So you get stickers and more like cup holder things or whatever they are.
Coasters.
Coasters. That's the word I was looking for.
This thing is broken. Oh no. I might have to get a new LiPo battery. I don't know why this thing won't... I don't know how to solder very well. If somebody knows how to solder, why won't the solder stick to this? I'm not sure what I have to do. It did last time. I had no problem getting wires to stick to it. I'm trying to tin it right now because there's no solder on it, and it won't chooch. I don't know what to do. Does anybody have any answer for that?
Flux.
It's flux core. Well, it's rosin core.
That's what everyone's saying. Flux.
I don't have flux. I just have this core stuff with the core junk in it. That piece stuck. Let's see if I can get this one to work. Any other questions?
What is the status on that crazy Halloween monster costume?
The status is it's literally directly above the camera that you're watching me from. It's in the rafters of my little shop here because it's gigantic and it's extremely heavy, and I don't really have any place to put it except for right there. And it's almost like a 3-person job to get it down. Because even with the wings folded, the wings spread out to 15 feet across, but even with them folded in, they're at least 4.5 feet across, and they have all the little PVC tendrils in them, and everything catches on everything. It's really difficult to get it down. I do want to redo it at some point, and I'm just going to... I said in the video that I didn't use pneumatics because I didn't want it to make hissing sounds, but if I do something with it again, I'm going to switch it to pneumatics because I think that's the only way I'm going to get something small enough and powerful enough to make the wings move. Alright.
Some people are saying clean it with rubbing alcohol.
Yeah? I don't have rubbing alcohol. I got a little bit on both of them, so I'm going to see if this works. That's on that side.
Katie says, hey, I commented on this on a video and you liked my comment, so are you planning on making something from Just Cause? Bavarium
Just Cause.
Splitter, Eden Spark, Arm Tether, or Wingsuit?
I did like that. And I meant to look it up, and then I forgot. What was... Read them again?
Yeah, Just Cause. Bavarium Splitter, Eden Spark.
Bavarian Splitter?
Yeah, B-A-V-A.
Bavarian, you said. Splitter.
Yeah.
Alright. And then what was the next one?
Eden Spark.
Eden Spark.
Eden. Arm Tether or Wingsuit.
Arm Tether, that sounds dangerous.
I have not played Just Cause, so I'm not familiar with that game or the weapons.
And what was the last one? Sorry. Wingsuit.
Wingsuit. No flux, then you're flucked. Why is your channel called JAIRUSOFALL?
Growing up, my friends used to always say that I knew how to do everything. Because I didn't know how to do everything not great, but I knew how to do a lot of different things.
Jack of all trades.
So I always thought that I was kind of like a jack of all trades. So then when it came time to name my channel, I figured, well, JAIRUS starts with a J, and Jack starts with a J, and people have been calling me a jack of all trades for a really long time. So JAIRUSOFALL, master of none. Does anybody know the full saying? It's jack of all trades, master of none, but there's some more after that. I want to see if somebody knows it. I know it.
Jack of all trades, master of none. I don't know.
Do we get anything yet?
Plumber's crack for days.
Yes? No?
Nope. I don't. Nope. Still better than a master of one.
It's often better than a master of one, but I'm surprised. Most people don't know that.
Thank you. I just saw that video about ADHD.
Awesome. Good.
And it made me think I can do better. If your soldering iron has different temps, turn down the temp.
What temperature Celsius should this thing be at?
Jack of all trades, master of none, still better than a master of one. Is that the saying?
What's often better than a master of one,
Okay.
but yeah, basically.
Hydrokinesis. That's the one that said that.
Cool.
We're just going to assume you didn't Google it.
He wins. He wins the contest. But it's still hot enough to melt it. This is it's getting weird.
500 to 750 degrees Fahrenheit.
It only has Celsius marked on it. I'm going to try this.
Camerick asks, what happened to that old intro?
It was getting flagged for copyright purposes. So it was the old intro was a band that I liked, and I contacted them, and they told me that I could use it and that I wouldn't get copyright flagged. And then I started getting copyright claims on my videos, so I stopped using it.
It is Mike Jennings' birthday. He says, please shout me out, it's my birthday. Happy birthday.
Hey, Mike Jennings. Should we sing happy birthday?
No, let's not.
Okay.
315 degrees Celsius.
Sweet.
That's what Kyle says, and then McBong's Lab says about 325 Celsius.
Cool. Well, this has a setting right there, so I'll adjust it.
It was originally Johnny Do It All.
This is, I mean, I don't know if the temperature setting on this thing actually means anything. This is one of those cheapo, like, couple dollar ones out of China. I had to reorganize everything in here to get this table set up to do the live stream, so my actual good tools are kind of buried behind some stuff right now. And this is just the cheap one that I had sitting out. Soaking in. Oh, yeah. There it goes.
Death Reaper, JAIRUS, what's up with your left wing on the Boomerang?
What do they mean?
I don't know.
Left
There's
wing.
a little spot right there that I could see on camera.
Yeah, it's this edge is rounded, so I needed the carbon fiber to wrap around the edge, so I was trying to hold it there to get it to stay, because this wing was being difficult. So I was trying to get that to stay wrapped around so that I didn't have to sand off a huge amount of carbon or clip it all off and then have to put, like, mix up some more resin and do another strip of it down there. And while I was holding it, it was oriented this direction, and I rolled this carbon fiber away from that corner, so there's a tiny little bare spot of balsa wood showing right there, which I'll sand and then I'll paint it black, and nobody will ever know. Part of that YouTube magic. Oh wait, do you want me to show it to this one? Oh, you switched back.
Yeah, I was just going with this one. Have you tried sanding the terminals?
The
Or
leads.
lead solder?
Yeah, I think the stuff that I'm using is lead solder, but I'm not sure. I have lead solder somewhere, but like I said, most of my stuff for that kind of thing, I don't use it terribly often, but it's back there somewhere and I can't get to it. But these, I can't sand these. They're so thin. This is just one of those cheap Chinese batteries. I was initially using, this was from the Iron Man rocket launcher that I built, and this was supposed to run the servo system, and it had a overdraw and charging protection circuit on it that was keeping it from working, and even after I took that off, it still wouldn't charge up very high, and the voltage was too low for it to run the servo testers that actuated the servos. So I had to pull it out, and I replaced it with 2 AAA battery packs, and it's just been floating around, so I use it for other things. I should probably get another one. This one's seen some abuse.
So we figured out
What did we figure out?
how to solder.
Yeah. Yeah, I should take a class on that. I obviously don't know what I'm doing very much. I mean, I've tried before. I know you use flux. And I know that you have to let it get hot enough that it draws down into the wire. Like, I've soldered copper wires a lot, but I haven't soldered very much stuff on flat terminals like those. I've done some stuff on switches, but I always find that much more difficult. Like you guys were saying, temperature range. Maybe it's a temperature range thing where I don't have it set to the right temperature for what I'm trying to solder to. Let's see what this does. I'm interested. I just want to... Can you see that? Yeah. It's gonna stink. I mean, that's a fair amount of heat going into that, and it's not, like, I can't really...
It does stink. Whew.
Does it? I can't get through it. I barely even... Yeah, it does. Barely even got the tip into it, so...
What was the point of that?
An experiment to see if I could just push it in, because... So, resin sets up, it doesn't dry, right? It's a chemical reaction. When the two parts mix, chemical reaction occurs, and it bonds, and it gets hard. But... with pretty much any resin chemical reaction, once it reaches a critical temperature, it basically melts again. It dissociates and it gets liquidy, or at least soft. So I was going to see if I pushed that in, if it would make the resin soft, and I could just push it down in and spread the carbon fibers apart and get a hole, so that I could start making that recess for the battery connections to sit in. I said I wasn't going to do it anymore, but I need electrical tape and the hot glue gun.
Hunt the Hunters. Could you attach rockets to Bryce?
I could, but Bryce wouldn't like it.
No, but I will say that with the Power Fist video...
How many people do we have watching?
The Power Fist video, if it hits 1 million, he's supposed to punch me.
I'm going to.
Okay. 138.
We have 138 people watching. If I can have your attention for one moment, if all of you can go to my original Power Fist video, it's the one where I'm looking at it like this, and it says, like, real power, or real life Power Fist in yellow on the thumbnail for it. If you can go to that video and share it on, like, Facebook or Reddit, any kind of social media, if you can share that video that gets people to come to YouTube to watch it, if everybody shared it, it might give us a good jump towards getting Bryce punched in the chest by it. Because if we can hit 1 million, he said he'd do it. And he's going to do it. He's going to have padding on. Otherwise, it probably... I mean, it could potentially kill him.
Yes, please. I don't want to be hurt, but I do think it'd be kind of cool if, like, he hit me so hard I, like, left my feet.
We'll have, like, a mattress behind him to catch him. And since there aren't that many people watching, we'll probably do a couple of test runs where I hit him a little bit harder, then a little bit harder, and then if it gets to a point where he's like, I think my ribs are going to break, I just won't hit him any harder than that. But if it gets to, you know, if I can hit him all out, a lot of people complain that the Power Fist actuates after you hit something. Well, there's no way to make it hit before unless you're hitting a button. but the level of timing you'd have to be able to do that to make it work the way it did in the game isn't. It's not really possible to do consistently, and since it's run off air, it just ends up becoming a cushion. But if you were to punch somebody with it, it would be a huge impact when you first hit them. But then that actuation pin in the front would get pushed in, and it would flick the switch, and it would activate, and 300 pounds more force would push him farther back. So if I did get to punch him, I mean, obviously, there's 300 pounds of force pushing that way. It's going to push back on me too, but I have all the forward momentum and everything, and then you add that, it would add a bunch of force to it. I mean, I don't know how much exactly. It'd be really difficult to do the math because you're talking about the human body, but if I punched him, it would make a if you punched a person with it, it would make a big difference. It doesn't matter when you hit cinder blocks. It matters when you hit a person, which is what the thing was used for in the game, not what it was built for. It was built to break cinder blocks. Deconstruction tool.
Do you think you could break steel with the power fist?
No, because it's made out of steel. That would be... If it was hardened steel and it was thin enough, probably. I need some kind of glue.
Zachary Williams says that asking if you wanted any CNC or machine parts. He goes to a trade school. Are you interested in CNC or machine parts?
It would be cool if I had a project that I needed them for right now. Currently, I don't have any projects that I need that stuff for. But email me at jairusofall@gmail.com. That way I have your information, and if I do ever need something like that made, I'll know who to contact. I appreciate it, by the way.
Jonathan Haynes, I appreciate that. Hashtag Bryce Matters.
Are you clicking show or hide?
Show.
Oh. I want to do something with fire that's cool, but I can't think of something. How many people have watched... So leave a comment saying, hashtag ugly sweater if you watch the ugly Christmas sweater video. Because I think that's one of the best videos and didn't get very many views.
Which we plan on doing,
We're going to do another one.
Do another one. Bigger.
Yeah. Bigger, better.
More flaming farts and...
Yeah. That's what this was for. This shot flames out of my Christmas sweater.
Those lights you can put in your yard that projects like stuff up on your house. I want to mount one like to my head or my back, so I have like a projector on top of my head. The only problem is my blind people. I got like pointed.
But that's not on your sweater.
Well, mount it to my sweater then.
Well, yeah, if it was mounted to your sweater, I guess that would count. Is anybody saying hashtag ugly sweater? No? Nobody's watched it. Terrible. You're approving a lot of comments over there. What are you reading?
Brad Shaw. This is one of my favorite channels because I've built 2 state championship winning electric race cars and 3 state finalist robots. I love how almost all materials I've watched you use, I've used too.
That's really cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, I like to use different materials. If there's a material that I haven't used, I like to try to get to use it in a project. But it depends if I have the time to learn something new. Because whenever you're using a new material, I mean, you're always going to run into a problem with everything, but you have a much better chance of running into a lot of problems if you're using a material that you've never used before.
We did get a lot of hashtag ugly
Takes a lot of
sweater.
time. Did we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Camerick says, no, the chair vid was the best.
Yeah.
I was sitting on that rocker earlier in his room.
Yeah, I still have that rocking chair. I use it all the time.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of hashtag ugly sweater.
Awesome. Alright, I need to grab hot glue and electrical tape.
Watch your head.
I'm going to crawl it over here.
Tommy Calloway, what's up at JAIRUSOFALL? Happy for your explosive growth. Keep it up.
Thanks, man. I love your videos. I always watch them.
I can't remember what his last video was. Open a new tab and look it up real quick.
What's his name?
I know I watched it. I can't remember what it was, though. I'll give him a little shout out. Just do that one, yeah. Yeah, click on that.
It's just gonna play.
Right, just skip forward once you can. Ads. At least it's skippable. Skip it.
It's a Stranger Things. I want to watch it.
I don't want to. I want to be completely surprised by the...
That's out. It's at October 27th. I need to watch that.
I don't remember the red button.
You didn't watch it, did you?
I did watch it. I know I did. I don't remember what he does with it. And I can't hear it.
No. I don't have any speakers hooked to this.
Oh, that's right. He had a... The wires came up next to the button, so when you push the button, it shocked you. So you give it to somebody and say, don't push the right button. What do? They push the right button. It shocks. It's an awesome little toy. When I had a part-time job at a local hardware store, they had a pen there that when you pushed the clicker to click the pen out, it would shock your hand. And we found out that some people get shocked a lot more than others, because I could barely feel it, but other people shock it and they throw the pen like they got tased. It was pretty funny. Need some insulation. Can't see my paint lines. There we go. Right.
Flip Daddy 777 vlogs. Love your vids. Makes me want to build things. Please notice me. What was your first viral video?
Motorcycle rocket launchers.
Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
I don't even know if I should tell people that that's mine. It got 700,000 views overnight. It like instantaneously went to 700,000 views. It was scary because I think it was the third video I ever posted online, and I started getting people like threatening me for it and stuff. So I took it down, but that didn't stop people from reposting it. So it's still on YouTube if you look it up. Right there. You got to insulate. That's why I'm putting electrical tape directly on the carbon, because if there is exposed carbon, it could short this battery out. So I'm putting some tape down right where the contacts are going to be and where I'm going to be soldering to make sure I don't ground this sucker out and blow it up right in my face.
Tommy says, I'm thinking about making it randomized so it can be a real Russian roulette type game.
That would be fun.
If a zombie attacks, what weapon will you use? I guess out of what you've built.
That's a good question. I mean, the hammer chopper would be awesome. Because that thing, it's so heavy, you'd definitely be able to chop through the skull with it. The only thing is you'd have to get really close. Most of the stuff that I've built, you have to get really close with. You know, power fist, whatever. Like, the power fist, you could easily smash, like, a zombie head. You know? Man, I'm not sure. Obviously, the power fist would probably be the coolest one to walk around with, but it's difficult to take on and off of your arm, and it weighs 13 pounds, so when you have 13 pounds hanging from your hand for an extended period of time, it makes your shoulders start to hurt pretty bad. You know, and I don't mean like 10, 15 minutes. Like, if you have it on for an hour or two, it really starts to bother your shoulder. It'd be easier to have something you can set down and pick up, I guess is my point.
Employee of the month, Bubbles. How much time do you spend on your video per week? Or per video?
Per video?
Yeah.
It depends on the video, but if it's a build video and then like a using it video that goes along with it, typically after I build it, there's a lot of setup that goes into getting ready to film. Stuff that I'm going to use it on, finding a location, and then if you include like the research that I do if I don't know exactly what I'm doing with everything involved with a build, you know, I have to try to figure out what I'm going to do. So it's hard to say, but I mean, I'd say I average at least like minimum 50 hours a week I work on stuff. Minimum 50. So I mean, if you average that across everything, because some days I'll do like a shorter video because I'm working on something that's coming up, and I have to try to get something out because there's no way I'm going to get it finished in time. Like, if you average it all together, I mean, some videos might take 120 hours to do, some might take 20 hours to do, you know, and then everything averages out along the way. But I'd say at least 50 hours per video if you averaged it. 50 to 60, somewhere in there. Maybe, yeah. It's a long time. I never really thought about it like that before. That was a good question.
Do you like pineapple pizza?
I do. I love pineapple pizza.
And do you do YouTube full time?
I do now. Don't think that I make a lot of money, but I do now. I just stopped. I had a part-time job up until very recently. I just stopped working there because I think that I'll be able to make it on YouTube alone right now. So that's why I'm going to be trying to do 2 videos per week. Because with the part-time job, it took, you know, 20 whatever hours of my time up. So now I can dedicate that to doing a video. So I'm going to try to start doing short videos on Tuesday and, you know, big builds, cool stuff on Thursday, if it's possible.
Jamie Shields, make a rocket-powered potato launcher.
That would be cool.
Do you have a Patreon?
I do. And it helps out a lot. You wouldn't think it would, but sometimes you're doing a project and you're like, man, I'm not sure how I'm going to afford how to get this part or get these things, because sometimes you buy something and you think you're going to be able to do the project with it and then it doesn't work out. Like, I've bought like solenoids and stuff that ended up not working, or it was the wrong thing. Like, one time I got a I got a pneumatic solenoid and it had like British fittings in it, and I couldn't find anything that would fit it. And I needed to get something else fast, and you know, the Patreon payment comes in. It always seems like it comes in right at the nick of time whenever you're trying to get something accomplished and you feel like you don't have the means, and then that happens, and it makes everything better. So I greatly appreciate my Patreon patrons, and I am working on the videos that go into depth a lot more about the Halloween costume that I made. because I didn't get to cover very much detail on it. Like, I did a lot of things wrong and had to rebuild stuff when I was doing it, because I'd never done anything like that before. So they're going to get exclusive videos for that kind of thing.
Make an arm guard that launches ninja stars.
An arm guard that launches ninja stars. I hate hot glue strings. There we go.
Where do you get your equipment?
If you mean like tools and stuff, it's mostly stuff that I've accumulated over the years. And then wherever I can find something that I think is going to be reliable enough and cheap enough is where I get tools when I'm getting new stuff that I don't have now. And if you mean like equipment, the stuff that I build the projects out of, sometimes it's random websites, but a lot of times it's Amazon. Amazon and eBay. eBay's probably the second most visited site.
This is a good one. Michael Elder. What was your first fire-related accident? Like when you unintentionally did so? Was it the fire umbrella?
On YouTube? On YouTube, the first fire-related accident that I had was the fire umbrella. The first fire-related accident I had in my entire life was kind of fire. I was a little kid and I was playing with firecrackers and I was setting them off alone. I wasn't supposed to be. I can't remember how old I was. I think I was 6. I think I was 6 years old, and my parents told me I wasn't allowed to set them off unless they were around to make sure that I didn't hurt myself. So I was outside setting them off. And I remember this very clearly, even though I was really young. I was outside setting them off, and I was trying to light one. And I had, I can't remember if I had a match or a lighter, but I had the fuse in the flame, and my dad came around the corner of the house, and I went and tried to hide the lighter or the match or whatever and the firecracker in my hand. And I went like this and put my hands down at my sides and like closed my hands on it. I think it was a lighter. And when I did that, I had lit the fuse on the firecracker, but I didn't know that I had lit the fuse. And I felt it start to burn my hand a little bit, but I thought that it was just like the little ember at the tip going out, but it was burning. So I'm standing there looking at my dad, and all of a sudden my hand goes, BLAM! And opens, and it went off, and it didn't tear my skin up at all, but I remember my hand was closed, and then my fingers were the whole way open. And my dad was like, what did you just do? I mean, he was concerned. He wasn't mad. And when I told him what I did, he laughed at me. My parents were pretty cool with me doing stupid stuff like that.
Oh, I like this one. Make a needler from Halo using steel rebar as projectiles.
That sounds really dangerous. Alright, this is done.
How's it coming?
Well, I think I might put some of these things in place. And I think I'm going to use these skinny wires. That way I can get these things mounted. So I use these little tiny, I think they're for RC stuff. I got them on Amazon really cheap for a huge amount of them so that I could use them for rocket connectors. Because the little receptacle inside, if you depin these and pull them out, you can squish the little tab that's supposed to connect with the blade and make it really tight so that you can put rocket igniters in, and they'll make really good contact with them. So I just depin them, I squish them tight, and then I put them back in, and then I can mount them near the end of a rocket, and they'll make it go off. It works really well.
We've had several requests for batarangs that are rocket powered.
Rocket powered batarangs. I do have an idea for a rocket powered boomerang / batarang. Hopefully nobody is going to steal my idea and put this on YouTube before me. So it's a little bit difficult, right? Because as the boomerang's flying through the air, it's kind of fall. Hopefully, my idea is that the lift is enough because it stays aloft for long enough that, like, even though it has an angle on it, instead of putting like a battery back here, you would have a bearing, and you would have a plate that had a weight at the bottom, and you would have a rocket engine pointing backwards. So when you throw it, the boomerang would spin, but the rocket engine would continue to point that direction. So you could throw it and it would spin and it would do its thing, but the rocket engine would continue to push it in the direction that you threw it. But due to the gyroscopic force, it would obviously turn. So it should actually travel really fast through the air instead of like this one where it's going to spin really fast. Maybe somebody that knows more about the physics of a boomerang can correct me whether that would actually work or not.
Make a whistle-powered arrow from Guardians.
Whistle-powered. Well, that's what
Brain Foo.
Brain Foo TV did that.
Check out Brain Foo TV.
Yeah, Brain Foo's got it. Just type in Yondu, or is it Yondo? Yondu. Yeah, it's Yondu.
Yondu.
If you look up Yondu's arrow, I think that's what I put in. His video should be the first one that comes up. And he whistles and he shoots it from his hand. It's pretty awesome. I can't get this one. I can't reach it. The only difficult part of doing this is you have to have something to push against because these terminals are so tiny. There you go. I'd show you. See, I mean, it's really super small. Oh yeah. Let's see if I can get it on this camera. We'll focus on that part right there.
Trying to.
My hands are really dirty. All right. So inside the tube in the tip of that, which if I can get it to focus right on that part, that's really difficult. There's a little tab that's inside there. You know what? I'll draw it. So if this is the box that the blade goes into in the receptacle, the piece of metal that makes up the bottom is bent back and it's bent up to the top, but when it's from the factory, it's like right there and it comes back down to be spring loaded. Can you not see it where it's at?
There we go.
Oh, okay. So you have too much space up here to put a rocket igniter in and have it make contact. So you have to take your little one of these little jobbies, one of these picks, and that piece of metal that's back, you come in from this direction with your pick and you push on that tab and it bends it up and makes it connect to the top, and then you get really positive connection when you stick your rocket igniter in, and then you can use a little plug for it instead of having gator clips on it. It makes everything so much more compact. I had a feeling these cameras wouldn't focus on something that tiny. That would be pretty impressive if it did, you know? Oh yeah. Then you bend the tab back. There's just a little tab that you push in and it allows it to unseat and you can just pull it out.
Where do you keep your plumbus?
Grab it, it's right there.
Keeps it right over here.
Yeah.
It's a little dusty.
It's got some cobwebs on it.
It's been hanging out in the garage, so it's a little...
Yeah, this, if you remember, this broke in the video, and I put wire reinforcement inside it. Where the wire reinforcement was didn't break. It was a section that ended up having no wires going through it, and that was the part that snapped off. So I think I super glued it back together, and it's been fine ever since. But I haven't had to use it, so, I mean, it'd be kind of crazy if I did have to use it.
go.
You can see how these projects end up taking a long time because you have to depin each one of these to get it to work. But it's the only way to get something super small that's going to work out really well that I can reload fast. Like the time it takes to get a new rocket motor put in and shove the igniter leads into this thing is really quick. And it makes up for the amount of time it would take if I had some other method of connecting it. Come on, there it goes.
Oh, that's a good question. Arlen asks, what will you do if this boomerang breaks as well? Will there be a third attempt?
Oh, well, I talked about this earlier. Didn't I? Yeah. I have a friend who is in school right now, and he is designing and making a CNC... he's CNCing a block of aluminum into a solid aluminum boomerang. So if this one breaks, yeah, I'll revisit it, because he said he's going to send it to me when it's done, because he really wants to see what an aluminum one's going to do. So do I. Who doesn't want to see that? I think an aluminum one's going to be a lot more dangerous than this one. Especially since they're actually, like, very carefully designing it to be really effective. He was in aviation, so he did some research on helicopter blades and found, like, optimal, you know, I don't know what you call it, like, the shape of the cross-section of the blade or something like that is how he's designing it. So the thing should fly like crazy.
Are you worried about losing it because it flies too far?
A little bit, but I'm hoping that the place that I throw it at is going to be big enough that there's no way it could go that far.
Sid wants to know if we have any ideas for a quick homemade Halloween costume.
Do you have a flannel shirt and a beanie? You can be a lumberjack. I mean, you kind of need an axe too, but a lot of places you can't take an axe. But I think that's probably the quickest, easiest Halloween costume you can do. It's pretty simple. You can even do it if you're a girl. If you have, like, brown shoe polish, you could just rub it on your face, make it look like a beard.
A female lumberjack.
They have those?
I don't know. I guess it wouldn't be Jack.
It'd be a Lumberjane.
Lumberjane. That's
Yeah.
probably about right.
I wonder if there's a technical term. Or would it be a lumberjill?
I don't know.
Jack and Jill, you know, went up the hill.
One year I came as Steve from Minecraft. I just went and bought one of those foam Minecraft pickaxes.
Why did I put the other one?
Pretty lame. It was quick and easy.
Did I just do the same one twice? I feel like it did, but I don't know. I'll have to check this one.
Tommy Calloway says, hey bud, you want me to mail you some electronics and schematics so you can make a flaming version of the Jacob's Laddered sword I did? Instead of EDF, maybe use compressed propane or neon or argon.
I know the Jacob's Ladder. I wonder if he mean... Oh, I think I understand what he's saying. Like, use something flammable to blow the arc up instead of an inert gas. That way it's on fire. Yeah, that would be cool. JAIRUSOFALL@gmail.com. If he wants to send it, that would... I mean, if I can... As long as it's layman's terms enough that I can understand it. I don't know if that's pushed the whole way up.
Hey Jairus, I'm going to make a giant rock golem costume for the Sci-Fi ValleyCon costume contest. Do you have any tips on a good way to make it?
Rock golem. That sounds like it's going to be a really hot costume. And the reason I say that is because my Halloween costume had a lot of foam and fur to make the structure of it, and it ends up being super hot. So make sure you've got some ventilation. As far as I mean, I don't know what you're trying to make it look like. But you need a ton of ventilation around your head, especially if you have something that is eyeballs, or if you have like sheer fabric, it's not that big of a deal. But I couldn't, when I put that costume on, especially since it's October, you know, the end of October in Pennsylvania is cold. So I'd put it on, and within, I'd say 45 minutes of having the helmet on, since there wasn't enough ventilation, the eyes would be completely fogged and I couldn't see what I was doing. So if I did wear the costume, I only could wear it for about 45 seconds. Now, if you're wearing it at Sci-Fi Valley Con, it's not going to fog up, but you're going to feel like you're cooking to death inside it if it doesn't have enough ventilation. All right, they're good to go. What should I attach the plugs
Got a
with?
super chat from Brad Shaw. In First Robotics, we say 3D printed parts are for display, not durability. You should see if you have any local teams you could mentor.
I'm trying to remember if there is something local. I've hung out with the guys from, oh man, I can't remember the number of their team. It's a robotics team from Pittsburgh, and they were all really cool, and I had a lot of fun hanging out with them. I met them at Maker Faire in Pittsburgh, and my buddy Dylan was on the team, and he had a lot of great ideas. It was so much fun hanging out with those guys, and everything they had, they enlightened me to a whole bunch of, you know, like industrial supply places and different kinds of materials or things that I'd never seen before, because they worked with them doing their, you know, their team robotics things where they had to make their robots do all kinds of different stuff, not just like attack and kill each other. So that was really cool. I don't know if there's a local place, but I should find out, because they could probably mentor me as much as I could mentor them, because that's definitely what happened with the guys out in Pittsburgh. I don't know how to put this in there. I was going to run it through that way, but I don't think it's going to work.
We have a would you rather type scenario. So if you were given the choice to get a power, would you A, take the power to be invisible when you close your eyes, or B, to stop time but you can't move your legs?
Those are both awful.
I don't know what the need of invisibility would be, but...
Yeah, if you could close your eyes and then you were invisible, obviously...
How would you know you were invisible?
Right. But then people would know you were there if they walked into you. So it would be really difficult to do anything cool, like... I mean, everybody knows, whether you say you would or not, everybody knows they'd rob a bank if they had the power of invisibility. It'd be like the first thing that you did. But if you had your eyes shut, what are the chances you're going to be able to memorize your way through the bank to steal stuff and make it back out without walking into anybody? And then they'd catch you. Or they might not catch you, but it'd be difficult. It'd be substantially more difficult. And then the other one was stop time and you can't move. You can't move your legs.
Can't move your legs. It was specifically legs.
Oh, then stop time. Because I would crawl all over the place. I get one of those... You know what you could do? You could get one of those cars that they have set up for people that are paraplegic, that can't move their legs anyway. And then you could drive. So you just get in the car, stop time, and then you could go wherever you wanted.
There you go.
And you wouldn't use up any time.
Loophole.
Are loopholes allowed? In this awful superhero universe?
What was the name of that movie with those awful superheroes? With, like, Ben Stiller? Do you remember that? The one guy could be invisible, but only if he was, like, naked? Or something like that?
I don't remember Ben Stiller superhero.
He was, like, invisible if he was naked and no one looked at him.
but if somebody looked at him, he became visible again.
Yeah. So you could like sneak past like security cameras or something like that, but that's about it.
So basically, these plugs, one wire from each. Like I'd take the red wire from each one, and I'll take it over and I'll put both of those on one terminal coming off of the battery, and then the other terminal coming off of the battery goes to the little spring-loaded thingamajig that has the plastic plate in between it. Yeah, those go to one side of that, and then the battery goes to the other side of it, and you have the plastic plate in between. So whenever that gets yanked out, the circuit's completed, and then it fires the ignition things, the little igniters, rather. So what I want to do on this is interrupt that with not just the plastic piece, but have the wire that comes out to this, or out from the other terminal of the battery, and goes to that, go through an on-off switch also. And then I'm not sure how I'd put LEDs on it to show you that it's on. I guess you just have a separate circuit for that. Yeah. And I think I have LEDs that run on 3.7 volts, which is nominal voltage on this, if I remember right. Yeah. Yeah. So, but then I'd have to bury those somewhere in this. And I'd have to decide if it was on the top or bottom or whatever. And then the only way I'd get to see that the LEDs were on when I'd throw it is if I threw it at night. And like we talked about earlier, if you throw a black boomerang at night, the chance of you finding it is pretty slim. So.
And Mystery Men was the movie I was.
Ah.
A couple people in chat. Let
Yeah.
us know.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
No?
Yeah.
The Fish says we should do more live streams. This is great.
Well, then I will. What was the peak number of people that we've had watching at any given time?
I don't know.
It's got a chart.
Yeah, I don't know how to look at all that stuff.
Does it have a time period? How long have we been doing it?
We've been doing it for 2 hours.
No way.
Yeah.
That's crazy. There it is. That was about 200.
Yeah.
Oh, it gives you the different quality levels. Huh.
YouTube Analytics.
That's cool. I've never live streamed before. This is totally new. I was super nervous when we first started. I was like, I don't know how many people are going to be there. I don't know what I'm going to say. Because whenever so when you watch me do a line in my YouTube video and I quick clip between stuff, it's because I'm not sure how to explain it and I don't want to stand there and have to figure it out for forever. But sometimes I do. And I'll say something 5 and 6 times over until I say it clearly and concisely so that you can understand it and I don't have to talk about it for a really long time. That way it keeps the video short. Because I want to get you the information in a reasonable period of time. Like, there's a lot of YouTubers that try to make 10-minute long videos to get that second ad so they make more money. And I'd rather make the video interesting and have you get something out of it. So whenever I'm filming, I'm not worried about trying to get like a 10-minute video. When I go to edit, if there's chunks or sections that I feel like they get boring, I'll take whole sections that I've spent, 45 minutes, an hour working on trying to get it cut down so that it makes sense and it's nice and clear and concise. And I still feel like it's too much and I'll just pull that whole section out. Because what's the point in having the video if nobody likes watching it? But this is kind of cool. But it's completely different than how I film when I do a video. Completely different. Or it go.
Is you reading that one? Would you rather have one of your creations go horribly wrong and blow you up?
Jedi Nate 5.
Or get blown up by a bystander. Or
blow up a bystander.
Blow up a bystander. Man. Hopefully you don't blow anyone up, including yourself.
I think... Well, blow up is kind of a general term. Like,
is it like...
Yeah, I mean, explode me to nothing. Like, if it kills me, I think... Well, it depends who the bystander is. I think if it was just like a maiming, yeah, I would rather have it I would rather have it screw me up than the other person. Definitely. Because if it, like, and that's not just because I'm being selfless. If you really think about it, you know, if I mess myself up from one of my weapons, like, that's fine. Like, what's going to happen? Like, I might have hospital bills to pay. I might have scars from it, that kind of thing. If it happens to a bystander, I am going to get sued, like, hard. And I'll have to pay their medical bills. And they'll be able to sue me for, like, that. And then YouTube would probably come down on me and delete my channel. And I would probably get in trouble with the law. So there's way more consequences. Yeah. I'd rather blow myself up. I guess that's the easy answer. What is that? Calce? Waffle over pancake. Any day. I like both of them, but waffles better.
Waffles are good.
But only if it's... I don't like those big, fluffy Belgian waffles. I like the thinner ones that are real hearty, that have, like, lots of grains in them, that are, like, thick. Like, you eat one and you feel like you consumed a whole loaf of bread. That's the kind that I like. Those light, fluffy ones, they're just a glorified pancake.
Isn't the true strength of carbon fiber from multiple layers? The strength is only in two directions. Like with grains of wood, plywood has different layers, some diagonal and others perpendicular.
Right. So that's actually really cool that you bring that up. So you have to think about it like carbon fiber three-dimensionally. If you're making something like this. So like if you have a sheet of carbon fiber and it's just... If it's just a flat sheet of carbon fiber and you flex it, you can flex it one direction more than the other, right? So this is 2x2 twill, I think is... Yeah, this is 2x2 twill. So if you have this sheet, it's easier to bend it diagonally because you're not directly stressing any of the fibers, right? That also depends on how much compression there is whenever they made the sheet of it. But as soon as you come into a complex curve, no matter what, you're straining against the fibers because the fibers are around like a curved area. So whenever you try to flex it, you're always going to be pulling against some fibers and trying to push against others. So then you always have tensile strength working for you. But multiple layers gives you substantially more strength because if you... Let me see if I can explain this correctly without going on for a long time. If you have multiple, like say you have two sheets of carbon fiber, like if you had one sheet, it'd be able to flex real easy like this. But then if you have two sheets and you try to flex like that, this set of fibers has to stretch. Like my hand has to get longer to move with those fibers, which the fibers can't do because they have super high tensile strength. So that's why multiple layers will give you crazy high strength compared to one layer. But when I'm doing something small like this and it's over complex curves, it doesn't really matter that much. This is super overkill. I could have done... A fiberglass would have been overkill. I could have probably done another plywood one and just taken a couple strips of fiberglass and reinforced the arms a little bit with it and it would have been fine. This is massive, massive overkill. People underestimate how strong carbon fiber is in most circumstances. Impact resistance is terrible at, though. This message.
Music for your build montages. How do you choose that? Dagwood says he likes your music.
I've found as many copyright-free channels on YouTube as I possibly can. I think I subscribe to... I think it's like 10 or 12. I think there's 10 or 12 different... It's somewhere in that neighborhood. It's probably about 10 different copyright-free music channels on YouTube. So, whenever I do a video... What I try to do, I don't feel like I'm always successful at it, But I try to get it, like, I edit the entire video without music. And then I try to get a feel for how, like, what kind of music would go with it. Whether it needs to be something really lighthearted and upbeat, or if I'm going to use something that's like electronic music, if it's going to be harder electronic, if it's going to be happy electronic, whatever. Because most of those, almost exclusively, those copyright-free channels are all electronic music. I have found metal channels and that kind of thing, but, you know, there's not a whole lot of opportunities where you can use metal and people are going to be okay with it. It's just not popular enough for a bunch of people to enjoy it. Like I talked about before, you want people to enjoy your videos. So, I subscribe to all those channels, and then when I get done with the video, I go through songs that I've either already downloaded from those channels, or I go through new stuff that I haven't downloaded yet, and I just listen to songs for a really long time. Sometimes, I think the worst... I can't remember what video it was for, but I remember one time I looked for a song for a video, and I probably listened to music, like, quickly, like, skipped through the song to get an idea of how it sounded, for probably, like, 8 hours straight one time, trying to find music for a video. That was awful. I hated that. It's time-consuming.
Maker in Training is in chat.
Yeah!
Why is it more susceptible to impact? What properties cause this?
So, that is a great question, and I'm actually really excited to explain this. Because people always... They complained on my Power Fist video when I did the Power Fist power test and I punched through 2 cinder blocks, right? And they said that it didn't make any sense for me to stack weights on it because, well, some people thought that I stacked the weights directly on it. I had a piece of steel that I cut out that was exactly the same size as the face of the Power Fist, and I set that on the blocks, and then I stacked the weights on that to see if I could get enough weights on it that it would make it break, because I was testing the tensile strength of the block, because it was only supported at the sides. So it was tensile strength that was supporting the weight in the middle. It wasn't compressive strength. And they said that there was no way I would do it because the compression strength of concrete was really high. And I'm getting to the carbon fiber. So bear with me. The issue is there is no give in a concrete block. Like, the amount of flex that you get from a cinder block is negligible. So what I was doing in that video was demonstrating that impact force is incredibly high based on the rate of deceleration. So you're putting all of the energy from that 13-pound Power Fist moving into the 2 concrete blocks. When it touches them, the amount that it has to make them flex before the tensile strength of the cinder block gives way and the blocks break is such a minute area. So when you take all of that momentum and force and you compress that deceleration rate into, or your deceleration rate over an area that's that small when it's moving that fast, makes the force momentarily astronomically high. That's why when you hit a cinder block with something that's metal and it's moving fast, you go right through it. And it's not very difficult because it doesn't flex, which is the exact same principle as carbon fiber and fiberglass. Carbon fiber has very little flex to it. The carbon nanotubes don't stretch and they don't compress. They're extremely rigid. So they will bend as long as they aren't fighting against other fibers. But if you have 2 layers and it tries to flex, all of those fibers, either these fibers on the bottom, if it tries to bend like this, these either have to crunch or these have to pull apart on top, right? So fiberglass has a lot of give in it, and it's able to flex because the glass fibers themselves are actually stretching and giving. Carbon nanotubes won't do that. Their bond is very finite and it just breaks. So whenever carbon fiber tries to flex, it has immensely high strength because the tensile strength is, you know, like the bond there is huge. But as soon as it's past that point, which you have with an impact, because it doesn't flex, you don't absorb the impact over a distance, it's right there. So all of that force is absorbed into the fibers immediately, and they shatter catastrophically. My neighbor was actually showing me a carbon fiber bolt that he had shot from his crossbow, and he hit another carbon fiber bolt in the target, and the whole thing splintered probably half to 3/4 of the way down the bolt. because, and it didn't get hit that hard. It just got hit hard enough that it overcame the strength and it went all over the place. It was pretty cool. I hope that was clear enough and you guys could understand it. It's all about how long it takes to decelerate a mass. So that's why carbon fiber is really terrible at impacts. It doesn't give. So anyway, if you guys want to go troll all the people that are wrong that were saying stupid stuff on my Power Fist video, I think that'd be funny. And there might be something that has to do with, I mean, I'm sure you could probably measure the actual amount of flexion that you get in a cinder block, and there may be some difference in dynamic force versus static force on it. But I'd be willing to bet that they're very similar when you're testing the tensile strength, because it is such a rigid object.
Can you make a video of your workshop?
Like right now?
Or sometime.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot to show, but...
No, there's not.
There's stuff.
So, behind the camera, there's shelves that just have supplies. Tons of spray paint, solvents, like sandpaper and respirators. A couple buckets of rags. I have a big tote container, old jet ski parts. There's some house paint. There's some stain, varnish, adhesives. I may have already said that. And then there's, underneath, there's storage containers for other supplies. Like I have a big container of scrap metal parts that I've salvaged from, like, broken down lawnmowers and that kind of thing. Then I have a small stereo and some speakers that I don't ever get to listen to because when I'm filming I can't, you know, be able to hear what's going on. There's some life jackets up there. There's a motorcycle helmet. Any other good questions?
Did you go to college?
Yep, I have my bachelor's degree in finance.
And what's your actual job?
YouTube? Now?
Pepsi or Coke?
Huh, Pepsi. Unless, there's a caveat to that. I like Pepsi better, but if you put peanuts in your Coke bottle, that is better than Pepsi with peanuts in it. And it's better than Pepsi by itself, too. So, Coke with peanuts is the best, but Pepsi over plain Coke.
There you go. What state are we in?
Are we in? Pennsylvania. Best state in the Union.
It's a Commonwealth, technically.
Yeah.
Your friends in Canada say hi. Katie Toast. Canada. Heard of the place?
Cool. I thought maybe I was supposed to know who Katie Toast was, but I don't know anybody named Katie Toast, but hi Katie Toast. And Canadian fans.
Looks like people are from Pennsylvania.
Fawn mower or
Someone
tractor raptor?
Indiana.
I don't know what those are, but that's pretty cool.
Australia.
Nice. I've wanted to go to Australia for a really long time. It's one of the places I've never gotten a chance to go to. I'd love to visit there.
New Zealand.
And that's where friggin' Boom Toys is, so you better believe I'm going to go visit him. Oh, and some of the first people to give me shout-outs on YouTube when I started making videos were Make Test Battle. They have a Nerf channel, and Justin is an awesome guy and has been helping me out with YouTube since the very, very, very beginning. I think I had like 100 subscribers. and he had like 20,000 when we first started talking. Obviously through Facebook, since he lives in Australia, and it costs like $50 a minute to call there. What's that?
Maker and training, Somerset, PA, baby. Blake agrees with the peanut thing.
Who does?
Blake Hansen agrees with the peanut thing. I've never tried that. I'll have to try that.
You will, because it's fantastic. It was a guy in the Navy that taught me about that. He did it every day. It was like what he ate for breakfast.
We got someone from Brazil, Wisconsin,
Brazil?
Alberta, Morocco.
Holy cow. Morocco? No way.
Flip Daddy 777 vlogs. Make Hawkeye's bow and a rocket-powered arrow.
Hawk Nation said, Iowa Hawkeyes, am I right?
My mom is from Iowa, and she loves the Hawkeyes. So, it's difficult when... What's that game called? When Penn State plays the Hawkeyes. Is there a name for that game? I don't know.
Is it one of the bowls or something?
There's a little bit of tension in the household when my parents have that game on TV. It's funny.
I don't care about Penn State, so... I'll root for the Hawkeyes. I got family from Iowa.
Missouri, Connecticut, Hollidaysburg. I have no idea where that's at.
Exotic
Sounds familiar.
Country of Idaho.
What kind of peanuts? Just salted peanuts. Just like Planters salted peanuts. You take your Coke, like a 20-ounce bottle, and you drink it down until it's about at the label. And then you take a handful of peanuts, and you dribble them in through the top until you got your whole handful of peanuts in there. And then it's so weird. Like, some of them sink, some of them float. They don't just all sit at the top or all go to the bottom, typically. So whenever you drink the Coke, you get some Coke and some peanuts every time you do it. So it's like a drink with a little snack every time. It sounds so weird, but it's surprisingly good.
It's a drink with a little snack. Hey, a little snack. You too lazy to eat something and drink something? Just drink your snack.
Where else do we have people? Penn State failed today.
Alabama. I think they lost to
The
Ohio.
Chainsaw from Doom. I'm going to write that down. I didn't see who wrote it, but I saw somebody said make the Chainsaw from Doom.
JK Slayer 11545.
Cool. I'm going to write it down. But I'll tell you, if it's just basically a normal chainsaw, I probably won't do it. But if it's really insane, then I might. Or I might just take a chainsaw and try to make it look like that one. I don't know. We'll see. I gotta see what it looks like first. I feel like maybe I was gonna give a shout out to somebody else that I had talked to leading up to this. I can't remember. Everybody watching now, make sure you go subscribe to How to ADHD. Great channel. Awesome stuff. Unless you don't have ADHD and you don't know anybody that has ADHD, then don't worry about it.
Try coffee with sharp cheddar slices.
Coffee with sharp cheddar slices?
Do you put it in the coffee?
Yeah, that's what I was picturing. You put the cheddar slices in the coffee, and then how long do you have to mix it until it's... And does it still pour? Like, can you still drink it from the cup if that's how you do it?
Subject Delta from Oregon. I was born in Oregon.
I have ADD. I have ADD too. JKL Slayer. I couldn't hardly see it. It started moving. Coffee with butter instead of milk. Now I can believe that because I looked up like a traditional hot. Coffee's alright. I drink coffee if I really like want the caffeine or something, you know. But I'm not like a big coffee drinker. But during the wintertime, I do love hot cocoa. I'll tell you. So I looked up like a traditional hot cocoa recipe because I figured you'd just use like cocoa powder and milk and sugar or something like that. But traditionally, hot cocoa was cocoa powder and butter and cream and sugar or something crazy like that. Like one of the biggest liquid ingredients was butter in it. So I can imagine that butter in it would actually be pretty good.
What's your favorite machine yet?
Favorite machine?
I guess your favorite build you've done.
Fire tornado gun. I like the Iron Man rocket launcher, but it takes a lot of time to set up. It's one of the more dangerous things to use. It's comfortable to have on your arm, but it's difficult to push the buttons. It's finicky. Takes a lot of tuning to make sure that it's like ready to be used that day. You have to oil all the like joints and everything. If I had to build over again, there's a lot of stuff that I could fix to make it a lot more reliable. But the amount of time it takes to create something like that, no. So the fire tornado gun is definitely one of my favorites. I love that thing. Large scale builds in the future. How Dagwood. Is that? Yeah, Dagwood. How large is large scale? Like making something bigger than it should be? Like I did with the PVC Warhorn? I guess it's going to take a second because of the lag.
I'll go ahead and say this. Quick Flame Gaming, he keeps asking if you will subscribe to his channel.
Quick Flame Gaming.
Yes. Write that down.
Yeah, I was going to say I can't right now. Because he's in the control of the computer.
Better be good.
Is it spelled funny or anything?
Quick_Flame
All right.
Gaming.
Did he say what he means by large scale? Like how large scale?
What was that comment?
It was Dagwood, so it should be coming up again. Like if he's going to reply, it'll be... there it is.
Maybe a drone-powered hoverboard?
Oh, so you just mean like a... I think he means like a more complicated build. I do have some... I do have a couple of more complicated builds that I'm thinking about doing in the very near future, but I don't want to talk about them right now. I want them to be a surprise. They're going to be fun.
Christian Hercules, he did do a collab with Greek Gadget Guru.
Yeah, I did. I painted his Star-Lord blaster that he made from generic Nerf blaster. And somebody else in there said, please collaborate with William Osmond. And we already did. We built a cardboard go-kart at the Hacksmith's place in Canada.
And Flip Daddy 777 vlogs, I will check out your video if you eat the Coke with the peanuts.
William Osmond collab, please. We already did one cardboard
with the Hacksmith.
Cardboard go-kart with the Hacksmith.
Can you make a whiplash whip?
I have no idea what that is.
How long is this stream going to go for? That's a good question.
I don't know.
I'm starting to go cross-eyed reading all these
Yeah,
comments.
it's getting difficult. I'm getting tired.
How far did we get on wiring the Boomerang?
I got up at like 4:30 this morning to work on this thing. I had a couple other things to do before I started working on this. But yeah, I got up at 4:30 and started working on it.
We did talk about this earlier, about the origin of your name, but there's been a few people asking again.
The origin of my name?
Or of the channel name.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, JAIRUS is a Bible name. Like, my parents wanted to use a Bible name, but they didn't want to use a name that everybody else has. So they picked a weird one. And
they didn't want to use Jesus.
Yeah. So, I always did a lot of different things growing up, and I was always good at all the things that I did, so my friends used to always tell me that I was like a jack of all trades, because I was good at so many things. I was never great at anything, but I was always good at everything, so they always said I was like a jack of all trades. I had so many people tell me that I fit that description. So, when I started my channel, I knew I wanted to build things, because that's what I like to do, but eventually I might do other stuff with it also, but in building things you have to have a huge amount of skills, right? Which is, I mean, that by itself makes you a jack of all trades. And we were talking about the entire phrase. It's jack of all trades, master of none, often better than a master of one. So, and I felt like that my entire life. that why would I ever try to be really good at one thing when I could be good at everything? And I've always thought it's strange that people don't want to be like that. So that was why I called it JAIRUSOFALL, Master of None. Because I'm a jack of all trades, and I'm a master of none, and I never want to be a master of one. Except for YouTube, maybe.
Ooh, I like this one. Can you make a Mega Man blaster?
What did he say? The cardboard go-kart video hasn't been released. The Hacksmith did post it. He may have taken it down. I don't know. I'll message him and see what he says.
Was it up? Do they have like a second channel or something? Like they're a vlog channel or something that might be on?
JAIRUS, you have a cool super name. Now we need one for Bryce. Wait, what was the question that you read? Can you make a Mega Man blaster?
Yeah.
You know what? That would be cool, because I really like Mega Man. I played that a lot when I was a kid.
Christian keeps asking if you can bring up the Power Fist.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, Christian.
You guys need to come up with a super name for Bryce. I don't know if I have any CO2. I don't think I do. I can test it with this.
You should make a pumpkin chunker like a cannon or a trebuchet.
I've got CO2. So when I go to things like Sci-Fi... Am I in the screen? Yeah. So when I go to things like Sci-Fi ValleyCon and I take all my stuff and like people get to play with it and that kind of thing, I've had a lot of people that have seen the videos. Yeah, it's broken a couple times. It's always, I can fix it on the spot, but it's broken a couple times. Usually it's electrical connections. One time it was one of the actuators stopped working. People have usually seen the videos and they think it's awesome, but then when they finally see it in real life and they put it on and I set it off, the look on their face is absolutely hysterical. Every single time. People have no idea how much power it is when this thing pops forward, because it moves your whole body when it goes off. It's and you really feel it. It's probably my favorite thing to do, is have people put it on. Let me see if there's batteries in this. I think I might. No, it's got batteries. What?
We want to start calling him Bryce the Punched.
Who said that?
Themostressant, if I'm pronouncing that right.
Well, that's a good one. Alright, I hope that's good.
Bryce the Techno Master, controller of comments. That's right, I control all your comments.
Alright, here, we'll do something fun. You guys tell me if you can hear the difference.
It's pretty quiet. Oh, and how...
Alright. So I'm going to turn the pressure up.
It made me jump, and I knew it was going to happen. Oh, that's a good one, Dagwood. Bryce punched man.
Alright, so I don't even know if it'll move, because I haven't greased this thing in a really long time. This is, yeah, that's 30 PSI. I mean, that gives you an idea how much load there is on this thing, because 30 PSI, that means you have about 60 pounds of force pulling forward on it, and it's still wouldn't actuate. So, at 40, it's a little less than that, actually. There's 40 PSI, 50, and now it's starting to move. So we'll jump a little bit. Let's go to 80. Can you hold the bottle still?
Yep.
Oops, I overshot a little bit. There we go. So this is 80. I don't know if the mic's going to pick that up accurately or not.
It's probably just really loud.
100. And that, I can feel the difference when I turn that up, because it stings your hand a little bit when you push the button in. 120. And you see how fast it moves. That scares people. Especially when you're at a convention that isn't for, you know, necessarily real stuff. Like everybody's mostly just cosplay, and then you pull something out that's actually functional, and it does that. You can make almost
makes everyone
like
jump.
a room full of people jump with it. It's pretty funny. And oh man, this thing's difficult to turn.
Oh, I hear a few leaks.
Yeah. These push to connect fittings, that's like 150 psi. So that's like maximum power. Which, once you get up there, it doesn't really matter a whole lot. Man, that regulator's tight.
Why don't you use HPA instead of CO2?
I don't have a place that I can get high pressure air around here. And it's even difficult to find CO2, but that's why.
Make an AK-47 that shoots bubbles. I actually really like that. Just a bubble gun. Just boop, 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 boop.
I'm gonna write that down. Who said that?
Jared Straub. Or Strobe, or however you pronounce your last name.
Spell it real quick.
J-A?
Yeah, I got that part.
S-T-R-O-U-B.
Bubble A-K. That's funny. I mean, that's actually probably one of the most dangerous things that I could build, because if I build it to look like an AK and it shoots bubbles, like... That fitting came loose. If it's really cold, the adapter will come loose from the regulator, and then it leaks, which is what just happened.
Blake needs help with his Calc 2 homework.
I didn't take Calc 2. I had applied calculus in college, but Calc 2 is probably way out of my league. And it's been so long, I probably couldn't do... I can do algebra.
Completely Wrecked wants to know where you got your shirt.
This is from Teespring, and I saw this shirt. I probably saw this shirt like 3 years ago, and just kept putting off getting it, and I finally got it. And it's like my favorite shirt now.
Have you ever fallen asleep in the shop?
Yes.
Tommy Calloway says a Gatling potato gun.
Oh man, that's kind of a
20 chambers or something.
I don't know how that would work, but man, that sounds cool.
Oh, it's pronounced Straub. Sorry about that, Jared. Straub.
Maker in training, Calc 3 is worse. Yeah, I believe that. Potato mortar. Well, potato mortar is just like a potato gun that you set on the ground. Maybe. Maybe not. Unless you actually want to, like, drop a charge down in it. That might be difficult. What are you doing, J1 Kim?
It's supposed to be wiring this.
Yeah, I keep getting distracted. Make a supersized potato gun that shoots pumpkins. Well, if you watch the whole rocket-powered ancient weapons video, at the end, the farm that the guy is letting me use to, like, do my projects at, he had a potato cannon, or a pumpkin cannon. The amount of energy that it takes to shoot a pumpkin it's crazy, because if you think about the amount of mass that you're trying to move, scaled up from a potato, you need an equivalent amount of energy to get that thing to go. So, What I'm trying to say is it would cost too much money because I know how much that guy's pumpkin cannon cost to make. He had to buy one of these huge diesel-powered industrial generators that's like a trailer that pressurizes and he runs 2 of them so that it doesn't take as long to pressurize it. It's pretty intense trying to make one of those things work.
You must make a waffle gun.
A waffle? What's a waffle gun?
He might have commented earlier about a gun that shoots frozen waffles. I'm not sure. A pancake disc launcher, someone said. Yeah.
Pancakes aren't resilient enough to take that kind of... They won't be able to handle it. But a good quality waffle might be able to.
Yeah, good quality. High quality.
As long as it's not... If it's not too saturated with syrup, I bet it would... I bet it would hold together. Lethal waffle gun. Launch pumpkin guts at Bryce.
Beards rule in JAIRUS workshop.
I just don't like to shave. I was in the Navy for 5 years. I had to shave every single day of my life. I got tired of it, and I don't feel like shaving anymore.
Make a waffle out of cement.
that would be kind of cool. It would be more challenging to make a waffle gun that shoots regular waffles and they stay in one piece, you know? Shoot frozen eggs out of the waffle gun. Flamethrower shoots boiling syrup. But if it's shooting boiling syrup, it's not a flamethrower anymore.
Do more welding art. # Garden Defenders.
Yes! Who said that?
Douglas McDonald.
Douglas, you're the man. I love that video. That thing, it took... That took longer than I thought it was going to take to make. And it wasn't because it took that long to weld. It was because it took that long... Like, I didn't have that many old lawnmower parts at the time. So I had to dig through my bin to try to find parts that matched for each side of it. Because I knew I wanted to make one that was symmetrical instead of one that had, like, big limbs on one side and small on the other. That took a lot longer than I thought it was to make it. And I couldn't find a gnome anywhere. I had to get a paint your own gnome from Hobby Lobby because nobody had garden gnomes. Or at least ones that you could, like, crack a hole into, you know? Like that one that I punched with the power fist. That one's solid. It's like fiberglass on the outside and solid something or other on the inside.
An archer from Titanfall 2. I don't know what that is, but you can look that up.
Yeah.
I have not played any of the Titanfall games.
Titanfall 2. Nice shirt, Los Pollos.
Any plans to move to 4K?
No. Plans? No. Because everything I have is... I mean, it's not exclusively set up for 1080. It's just, I would have to upgrade a lot of things to move to 4K. Like, I'm not making, like, enough money from YouTube to do the projects that I want to do, much less, like, upgrade my equipment. So, that's a ways off. Like, I don't know how long it'll be till I could. And that's the first time I've heard somebody ask about 4K. The other people that are watching, let me know if you like 4K or if you expect it, or if that's something that you think I should be planning to do in the future, because I haven't been. I haven't been.
Tommy Calloway, ever consider making a trebuchet that launches cinder blocks?
I don't have the space. I don't have enough space to build a trebuchet that could launch cinder blocks.
We could start an event, cinder block chunking.
What was that one that I was reading? It was another thing from a video game. I saw it. Make a giant flame. Yard ornament. Oh, that's a good idea. Jacob Duncan, your farting reindeer yard ornament. Good. I can't talk. Breaking Bryce. What camera do I use?
I'm the one who
Okay, so what we're on right now is a webcam, because you have to have a video capture device if you don't run a webcam. So we're on a Logitech C920 is what we're using right now. What I film all of my videos with is almost exclusively his iPhone, and I have a Canon Vixia HFR 500 and a Canon Vixia HFR 600. No, the 600 died. I was grinding or I was welding or something, and something must have hit the lens and it cracked the lens on it. So I can't use that anymore. So I have a Vixia HFR 400 and a 500. Those are the two cameras that I've got right now.
4K waffle gun. Several people are saying 1080 is fine. Other people are saying 4K is nice. The problem is not a lot of people's monitors do 4K.
Yeah,
so
I don't
if you
think
put out a video in that resolution, you don't.
I'm pretty sure my monitors aren't 4K. What's this monitor again that I have here?
That little one? That was like a 900 resolution. Some cheaper.
Jetpack for watermelons.
Tommy says the Panasonic GX85 is about 400 and you can get a lens for 50. Best value for the cash.
Wait, what did he say it was? The Panasonic?
It's a 4K camera. Panasonic GX85.
I think I've looked at that before. How much did he say it was? Did he say price?
400.
Huh. Just 4K.
That's not bad.
See, the only other problem with 4K is, so the Hacksmith is really good at this, and I'm not very good at this because I film by myself the majority of the time. I turn the camera on and I typically let it run, because when I first started doing this, I would turn the camera off after takes and that kind of thing, and I ended up forgetting to turn it back on to record so many times, and I missed so much stuff that I just started turning the camera on to record, and I just let it record for long periods of time. That way I can just stand there and talk to the camera and work on the project or whatever. I won't be able to do that with 4K because 4K takes up an astronomical amount of memory, which is what the Hacksmith films in. And he is a guy that films for him, so he has somebody to turn the camera on and off for him. So it works out pretty well for him. But for me, it would be really difficult to do 4K. I would have to get some serious storage. That's the first problem. The second one is I'd have to get cameras.
Tommy was saying that 400 was used on eBay.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say that's pretty good for a 4K camera. That's pretty cheap.
Maker in Training's battery is dying. He has to go. There's been a couple people who said their devices are watching it on this time, or they have to go to bed, or build a mecha Bryce.
Everybody that wants to watch some cool build videos should go sub to Maker in Training. He's a friend of mine, and I can't remember where he lives. I mean, he lives out towards Pittsburgh, but I can't remember the name of the town, because it's like... he doesn't live in a town. He lives in the middle of nowhere towards Pittsburgh. But you should sub to his channel. He makes really good videos. Somerset, that's right. Somerset. I'll have to come back out to your place and shoot something crazy in that gigantic field again sometime. Power armor. See, I get... a lot of people say power armor or like a power suit or do a whole Iron Man suit and that kind of thing. And I would love to. But the time commitment that it would take to build... I mean, it would be expensive. But the time commitment that it would take to build something like that. I mean, that's something you work on for years. And then you've got like, you know, a flash in the pan video that goes really viral. So I can't really do that. Plus, the U.S. government's been trying to make something like Power Armor or Iron Man for a really long time now, and they don't have the technology, the money, or the resources to be able to do one that's really good. So, jet boots. I'm going to test the Boomerang, hopefully sometime very soon.
Just got to get it wired up.
Attack on Titan 3D maneuver gear. So, Crunchyroll's talking to me about doing a sponsorship, which is awesome. And they want me to either do Boku no Hero, or My Hero Academia, or Boku no Hero Academia, or something from Attack on Titan. So, let me know, like, start commenting which one you think I should do something from. I kind of want to do no, My Hero Academia. I think doing something from that would be really cool. Because the Hacksmith pretty much owned it with his like EDM gear that he did for his Attack on Titan video. I mean, you can't really get a whole lot better than that.
Hero Academia says Z-Pex.
Cool. Whip sword. I've been asked about that before. If it's the thing that I'm thinking about where the sword ends up getting segmented and then pulls back together, that, I mean, first of all, it'd be ridiculously dangerous to try to use it, but trying to pull it back together and have everything line back up again when it pulls together would be really difficult.
It's a couple Attack on Titan.
Yeah? I mean, what would I build from it? That's the part that I don't know. Frag launcher.
Whip sword.
How many times do you need to spam suggested? Alright. What did Jason Genji say? We gotta look for it.
I don't know, that's...
I mean, I've been... I think I've been reading a lot of them.
He was spamming a comment about spamming a comment. It was...
Oh.
It was spam comment inception.
I bought from Fallout. Rocket-powered mace. Not sure... Oh, wait, a flail is the one on the chain. I was like, yeah, I don't think that would be very... But the mace is basically just a short version of a sledgehammer. Attack on Titan gear. Magnets. So, that's a good point. Who's that? Coda Rewind. You could use magnets to make the whip sword go back together in the right place. You could. But, to get neodymium, like rare earth magnets, that would be powerful enough to be able to hold a sword together, because you think if you were holding it out, the amount of force that would be on that last set of magnets that would make it want to fall back down, unless it had some kind of registration that would go together, but that would also make it really difficult to come apart. And then if you had powerful magnets, you'd have to use a non-ferrous metal for the sword blade, because otherwise it would just make the whole thing one big magnet, you know? So it'd be difficult to pull off with that. Unless you had... If you had, like, a cable that made up the whip sword that didn't let the segments torque compared to each other at all, you could try to do that, but then they would have to have some kind of registration that kept them on the cable in place. I mean, there's different ways that you could do it, but it would be difficult. But that is a really good idea to use the magnets. It would just be... It would be hard. They'd have to be isolated from the sword segments, but at the same time the sword segments would have to still be small and light enough that you could actually move it around.
Where did you get your Monty Python gear?
I made it. Like, stayed up super late and wrote down... I don't ever write scripts for anything. Like, anything that we do, there's never a script for anything. Not at all. I don't ever have anything written out. If I know that there's talking points that I want to hit when I'm doing a video, I'll write down like bullet points to go by so that I go through a logical progression of ideas when I'm in a video, right? But for the Monty Python skit, that was as close as I got to scripting it. And I had a rough script. It was hashed out to a certain level, but we definitely didn't follow it. Like, he and I ad-libbed and changed things the whole time along the way because I just had, like, rough ideas of what we were going to say. And we wrote that. I wrote some of it, and then he wrote some of it the next morning, and I stayed up super late making the costumes for us. And it was just... Man, what was mine made out of? I think mine was made out of burlap. And I just painted it with craft paint. And then the helmet was made out of, it was like that thin cardboard from like beer cases or something like that. I think it was a cereal box.
In tinfoil?
Yeah. No. Yes. It was aluminum foil. So it was made out of like, if I remember correctly, it was either like a beer box or a cereal box or something. And so it was that real thin cardboard. I made the shape out of that, and then I took a big sheet of aluminum foil, and I sprayed it down with spray adhesive, and then glued that to the cardboard, and then I made the helmet from it. So it looked like metal because it was metal, because the whole thing was covered in aluminum.
Idle Dan man, yeah, we can start a fire. He says he's bored. It's Saturday and he's bored.
Fire.
Burn your cable. There you go.
Woo! Is that good? One more. Maybe I can get a little bit in this groove right here. Yeah, that's actually working out really well. Now I'll do it. Here. Coming at you.
Yeah, ruin another camera.
I did. Oh, that's funny. That reminds me of. I'll tell you guys a funny story if you want to hear one. I'm sure you do, so I'm going to tell it anyway. I have these fluorescent light fixtures in here, and I can't remember what video it was, but in one video I started the video, and I was about to start filming my intro, and there was this huge fly that kept buzzing around and slamming into my head, and it was getting really annoying, so I grabbed a can of carburetor cleaner, and I already had the camera rolling, so I used the carb cleaner and shot it, and I torched the fly, and that was the beginning of the video. I can't remember which one that was. Anyway, after I did that, I started getting in the habit of always doing that to kill flying insects that got in the garage that were annoying me while I was trying to film. And one time I kept trying to burn this fly that kept flying into the light fixture, and I guess fluorescent bulbs can get too hot or something. I killed it. I killed the entire light fixture, and I had to stop filming and go out to Walmart and get a new light fixture because it was like those throw off the majority of the light here in the garage. So that was my bad. I mean, it was fun though.
What's going on with the Boomerang right now? Well, we were going to wire it.
Well, I started putting the wires on. I got the battery installed, and then I started putting these wires in, and then I realized that, I don't know if I said this to the camera or not. I realized that before I permanently install some of these wires, I'm going to have to do some sanding to get these, the airfoil surfaces smooth again after I epoxied all of the fiberglass to the balsa wood. Or carbon fiber to the balsa wood. So, I kind of need to stop unless I get out power tools. And then you won't be able to hear us talk. So. Blow up an oil rig. Explosive rocket axe. See, that's illegal. It's hard to make explosive stuff. There is a way that you can get your explosives license and be able to do explosive stuff, but then you have to... You're responsible for knowing zoning and where you're allowed to do that kind of thing. So you have to be really careful with it once you get it, and you're held much more accountable once you have it. I'd still like to get it so that I could do more projects. I mean, because you can go on YouTube and find videos of guys that are teaching you how to make like those fire pots that they set off at fireworks shows. It's easy to learn how to make them, but you're not allowed to set them off unless you have your explosives license. Otherwise, you're making bombs. You know, it's not considered an explosives expert. Then you're just like a terrorist. So you have to be careful what laws you're crossing when you build stuff. That's why I've tried to just stay away from explosives in general. Plus, explosives are really dangerous. I mean, you don't have time, like, when I caught myself on fire with the fire umbrella, I had plenty of time to react and, like, put the fire out before it burned through my shirt and got me, you know? Same thing with, like, when the fire tornado gun caught on fire. I wasn't in danger of dying, but, like, if you screw up with explosives, it's instantaneous. There's no, like... There's no time to react. None. You're screwed if you mess up.
The Vibranium Wizard, make the Warcliff coil from Destiny 2.
Vibranium Wizard?
That was his name.
Oh. Warcliff coil from Destiny 2.
Warcliff coil. What made you think of making that costume?
I wanted to do something really outrageous, and when I first built those wings, I thought it would be cool if I was on stilts and had the wings, but I didn't have time to make stilts and the wings when I made that a long time ago. So, when I got out of the Navy and I decided that I wanted to try to give YouTube a shot, I had just unloaded those wings, and I was like, oh, well, it's, I'm coming up to Halloween, I could make some ridiculous, crazy costume. Maybe that would be something good to start with. And it ended up taking a crazy long time to make that costume. It was like 2 months, and I was working like 10 hours, 12 hours a day on it. It was rough. I mean, that was really difficult. And then when I got done with it, I realized that I filmed every second of it. I mean, I had just an astronomical amount of footage. Like, it basically fills an external hard drive. Just the footage from making that costume. It was crazy. So whenever I went to make the videos and I realized how long it takes to actually go through that much footage, there was no way I could get a video out in time for Halloween. So then it sat. And then the next year, I was busy doing other projects, and I put it off, and I thought I was going to be able to get to it. And it was like 2 weeks before Halloween, and I started editing the video, and I got a video... I almost got a video completed about the mask, and I realized that I probably had at least as much time as I'd spent on it to that point left over to work on it. So I just pulled the plug on it and saved it till this year.
Jacob asks, make the hook shot from Legend of Zelda.
The hook shot?
Yeah.
I'll have to look that up. I was thinking about making that big magnet thing that they had.
It shoots a hook out on a chain that extends, and you can like hit buttons or like collect items with it, or like pull yourself across the ledge.
Gotcha. So it's like a Batman's grappling gun.
In a way, yeah.
The hacksmith made that. Just doesn't look the same.
Hook shot. Pyro asked about the railgun. Making a railgun.
Oh, you want to know a cool little fact? This is interesting. It made me feel good when I saw it because I did it. Well, I didn't build the whole project. I don't want anybody to get that idea. When the hacksmith made the something or other fist from the new Kingsman movie that shot like a metal hand out, the thing that he had that shot it was really big and bulky. So when I was up there for the last collaboration, I was sitting around and I was like, is there anything I can do to help you guys out? Because I was like, I'm bored. We were waiting for William Osmond and Peter Stripple to get there. They like to sleep in, which is fine. But basically, I had nothing to do, and the Hex was like, he said he wanted me to trim all the excess guard metal off of this launcher thing as much as possible so that he could fit it and it would look like it was just part of his arm and he could shoot the hand off it or whatever. He was using it for that. So I got to do like the stripping down of all the metal, so I got to take part in one of his projects, which was pretty cool. Because, I mean, other than the go-kart collaboration, we haven't really gotten to do that.
What does that have to do with a railgun? Nothing with a railgun? I thought you were going to talk about railgun.
No. I didn't hear you say anything about a railgun.
All right. All right.
I have ADD. Leave me alone.
Aquaman's trident.
Can you entertain them for, like...
If you want to grab it.
Yeah.
He has made Aquaman's trident for his Aquaman costume.
Oh.
It's raining.
It's pouring. Never mind.
It's raining outside.
And it's not raining, it's pouring.
Maybe next time we can have the trident.
Yeah. Yeah, I built a trident, but the entire trident is made out of PVC, which is like PVC tubes. The blades that are on the ends are Sintra, which is expanded PVC sheet. And then all of the parts where the pieces come together have been blended with Bondo. So...
Evo wants you to make Wally that shoots trash blocks.
I'm trying to remember. Does he shoot them in the movie? Or does he just... I thought he just collected the trash and then it just fell out the other side.
I don't know.
I don't remember.
You can make it shoot, though.
I could.
It's been too long since I've seen that
What's
movie.
that thing... What's the name of the thing that shoots junk in Fallout? That's another thing that I've wanted to build. Junk cannon... Junk jet.
Junk jet?
Yeah.
There's the
Isn't the junk jet the thing that you put
launcher.
anything in it?
I think that's what it's called. The rocket launcher.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, that was the one that I was thinking of. Put in junk jet, see what that does. See if that...
Rocket launcher was from Fallout 3. Yeah, junk jet looks like maybe that was from Fallout 4.
Does it do the same thing? It doesn't look like it.
Similar to the rocket launcher. Junk jet.
Okay.
Jet.
It is. Alright. That's probably why I thought it was called the junk jet thing, because that was more Fallout 4 than 3.
There you have it. Yeah, junk jet, rocket launchers. Let's do a few more questions, and I think I'm about ready to be done for the night.
My eyes hurt. I got up. It's our time. It's midnight 15. I got up at 4:30 this morning to work on this. So today's been a long day. Master Wayne says, freeze gun. Colin Furs tried that. I mean, but he tried to make it come out like really close to his hands.
Do you plan on releasing a special Halloween video?
That was the Halloween costume. I haven't had time to get a specifically Halloween thing made. I wasn't thinking about doing something for it specifically in advance because I knew that I was going to do the costume that I had made a couple years ago.
Worst smelling thing that you've ever burned?
PVC. I think it'd be... Man, styrofoam smells really terrible, but I think PVC. They're both bad.
How many Fallout weapons have you done?
I've done
Austin wants to know.
the Striker / Fat Man. I did the bladed baseball bat. That was the first Fallout weapon I ever did. I did a bladed baseball bat, and then I did the Super Sledge, which had an EDF motor with a propane afterburner. Doesn't make a lot of thrust, but it looks a lot like the game, and it actually has like on-off button thrust on it, which is kind of cool. And then I made so it was bladed baseball bat was first, then it was the Super Sledge, then it was the Power Fist, If you count the Plumbus bat, which was a Fallout Rick and Morty mashup, that's another one. And then the Striker.
Yeah, there's a bat
or
in
the
Fallout.
Fat Man.
Ooh. Hydraulic jump boots. like from the Super Mario Brothers movie. Didn't they have those boots?
I never watched that movie.
Yeah, don't.
Don't. So this is so this is one thing that I actually know some stuff about because I did it as a job, right? So when I was in the Navy and I worked on aircraft, I was an aviation structural mechanic was my job title. So I worked on like the skin of the aircraft, the flight controls, and hydraulics. So I learned a fair amount about hydraulics. It's difficult to have high flow rates in hydraulics. And when I say high flow rates, I'm talking about like something that will give you enough acceleration to leave the ground is fast. Like, that's pretty crazy. So hydraulics is all about pressure, like a huge amount of pressure, lots of force, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything's going to move very quickly. Like, think about when a dump truck lifts the bucket in the back, you know? The hydraulics are giving it a stupid amount of force, but it goes really slow. That's how hydraulic motors work, typically. It moves really slow, you get a monster amount of force from it. So you couldn't make hydraulic jump boots. It wouldn't really be possible. But, I don't know, maybe you could do like compressed air jump boots. But the thing is, as soon as you exceed the amount that your body could jump, like unless they just extend really far and you keep a constant rate of acceleration over a longer period than your legs can go, like if you end up overcoming the amount that your legs can hold back, then you're just going to break your legs or you'll collapse, your knees will bend, you know? So it'd be really difficult to do something like that because, mostly because your body would be the limiting factor.
Will you do more live streams?
Yeah, sure. I have fun.
Use tiny explosions instead of hydraulics for jump boots. Problem solved.
That blow your legs off. I mean, yeah, tiny explosions. The problem is with anything that's an explosion,
it's fly. Jeez.
It's usually a lot of force over a very short period of time. So like if you have your legs locked, it's going to destroy your joints. If you can lock your legs. Like I don't know if you can see on the camera. You see how like so if I try to line my wrist up with my shoulder, my elbow is still out to the side. Like some people can bend past that. I can't even bend to the point that my arm gets completely straight. I can't lock my arm out. I can lock my legs out, but I've met people that couldn't lock their legs out. So if you couldn't lock your legs out and you had explosive... The whole point of this is if you had explosive boots and you couldn't lock your legs out, whenever it exploded, you just end up kicking yourself in the butt really hard. Which would be hilarious.
He said he was joking, don't lie.
Oh, okay. Somebody else said Ripper from Fallout, yeah. and I wrote it down because I saw it, because I don't know what that is. I've been trying to think of what it was, but
Micah Brown wants to know, where was your basic training? What branch do you recommend?
Everybody in the Navy goes to basic training in Great Lakes, Illinois. Yeah. It's just outside of Chicago, in Illinois. Everybody from the Navy goes there for basic. I had fun in the Navy. It wasn't something I wanted to do for the rest of my life. As far as like recommending which service, it depends what you want to do. Like the Navy has a lot of jobs that transfer to, like what you do in the Navy, there's a good chance it's going to be something that transfers to a civilian job. So the Navy has really good job placement coming out. Same thing with the Air Force, if I remember correctly. They're pretty good. The Army doesn't, and the Marine Corps doesn't. But no matter what, if you do military time, it makes it super easy to get a job. After I got out, I had a lot of job offers. I could walk into pretty much any government job because I had military time and I had a bachelor's degree. So that was a big deal. But yeah, I mean, if you're thinking about doing the military, it kind of depends what you want to do. You want to run around with guns? Join the Marine Corps. If you want to play on ships and see the world and potentially get to play with aircraft a lot, you can join the Navy. And if you just want to work with aircraft and have an office job, which everybody says is a joke about the Air Force, but there's a huge amount of opportunity for office jobs in the Air Force. And that's not a bad thing. And if you want to go do the Army thing and be a, tried and true soldier, then you can do that. It's kind of what you feel like doing. And not that the Army just has soldiers. Like, they have lots of other jobs. And one of my friends is in the Army. I can't remember what he does. He works at a hospital. And he's not a doctor, but he has some other highly trained specialty thing that he does that transfers to a lot of money in the civilian world. But he likes it in the Army, so he's staying in.
Several people are saying Dark Souls triple shot crossbow.
That sounds cool. What was that thing that I just read? Rocket chair for science.
What are you planning for future builds on your channel, or just in general?
I really want to do an Aquaman thing. That's like, I want to do an Aquaman thing more than any other project that I've ever thought of. And I've wanted to do it for a really long time now. A really long time. Like, before I started YouTube, basically. I've wanted to do Aquaman things. But I have an Aquaman project in mind. It's just going to cost a lot of money. And right now, I can't justify spending that much money on it at this point. I'm hoping maybe later in the winter or next summer I'll be able to do it. It was Dark Souls triple shot crossbow, right?
Mm-hmm. And what you want to do with Aquaman is to swim really fast, right?
Mm-hmm. Really fast. Really very fast. Rocket-powered spinny chair! That sounds cool! Who said that?
Patho Pickaxe. AZ Gamer, please make a rocket-assisted Buster Sword.
Buster Sword's just a gigantic piece of metal. That would be...
Well...
It would be difficult to make it be effective because you would have to have so many or such a powerful rocket on it to make a difference in how fast it would swing, because it's already... you have so much mass there.
Michael Cthulhu made that, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Not rocket-powered, but he made the Buster Sword.
Right.
And also the Final Fantasy VIII, what's that? The gun sword, whatever that's called.
He's been saying that for about half an hour, spinning chair.
We just saw it.
I just happened to see it. Rocket go-kart. Well, see, the thing is, these little rockets only put out, so many newtons of thrust per time period, whatever. And it's enough to make small things go really fast. But as soon as you get any kind of mass, they don't really do anything. So to get enough rockets to make a go-kart move, much less move fast, would be crazy expensive. Like, if you look up those big Aerotech motors, first of all, to get a motor that would give you any kind of speed, you'd have to get a special license to even be able to buy the motor. And then you'd have to find the funds to be able to get enough of them that you could do it. And do it for more than, like, a really short distance.
Rocket-powered Jesus. Percy Jackson deployable shield.
Didn't the Greek Gadget Guru do that? I think that was his one big project that he did. rocket-assisted blow darts. That is a terrible idea. I don't know if you meant it this way, but I was picturing you sticking a rocket in a tube and then sealing it shut with your mouth when you set it off. Like you blow and the rocket goes off at the same time.
Yeah,
and it just burns the lips off of your
if you're
face.
not blowing, then it's not a blow dart anymore. So.
Right. Rock. What is that?
Well, you ready?
I don't even know what
ready
that
to
is.
shut it down?
I don't even know how to pronounce it. Yeah.
I didn't expect to go this long. We did 3.5 hours.
Good lord.
So that's not too bad for
Yeah, how many
stream.
people do we still have? Is it still up there?
A lot of people are still with us. 108.
Well, that's crazy. This is awesome.
You guys
I've still
are
got
great.
108 people. The peak
guys are
was
great.
like 200. I've still got 100 people here. How cool is that? You 100 people are winning.
Yeah. So we'll try to plan on doing another live stream and answer more questions and work on stuff.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff that I build is difficult to work on because, and I realized that tonight because it makes noise. Like, I need to cut holes in this and grind edges down and make stuff flat before I start installing the wires on it. So, it's going to be difficult for me to build something, but I can start doing live streams when I do, like, weapons tests. You know, like, when I go out and test this, I could do, like, a live stream with it. But what that requires is I have to have another person besides him there also. Because I have to have somebody run the live stream from a phone. So, it'd be difficult to do that right now for me, since I don't have multiple people to go out with me guaranteed every time. But this was a good time.
Yep. Anything else?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Okay, this guy said this multiple times. What is a tractor raptor? I gotta wait until he tells me what a tractor raptor is. Because I've seen it like 4 times, and I said it once, but I didn't ask what it was. Thirst zap.
A raptor on a tractor. A tractor cannon from Destiny 2. Tractor cannon, Destiny 2. Alright.
Alright. I gotta stop. My eyes are starting to see things. I keep thinking that I'm seeing somebody walking behind me right here. Every time I look over this way, I get a black flash that goes that way, and it freaks me out. I've been awake for too many hours.
Alright.
Thank you, all of you, for sticking here till the end. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. And I hope you guys will all be here next time. And I saw the person that said make sure you do it after 3 if it's on a weekday, because school. So I don't think there's any way I'd do it during the day then anyway, but I'll keep that in mind. Wait, is that 3 o'clock Pacific time? Because that's after 6, but
It's a lot of time zones.
still, I'd probably do it after 6 anyway, because I do think about what time it is on the West Coast whenever I do stuff, so no worries. Alright. See you guys. I see
ya.
you're all saying bye too.
Bye.
Shut it down.